It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Mic check, mic check. What up? Good morning. Ooh, it's a wild here Thursday. Ooh. Everybody say, Mika, deep condition this week. Enough's enough. All right, what's up? It's mikagadsden. Smacking on Big Red as per usual. What up? Good morning, little mama. Heard you had an art show coming up. Heard you and Evelyn had an art show coming up. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. As folks trickle in. Hey, Debbie, clocking in for your shift. Good morning. Yeah. Damn, I ran out of time. I wanted to send out a newsletter this morning. I'm gonna do it afterwards though, for sure. So today what I wanted to do, and I'm trying to, I don't know, maybe some of y'all who know me, who know how I communicated over the years, how I've organized. Over the years. I'm a tough cookie. I'm a tough woman. I think the world needs more tough women, tough non-males. Hey, what's up, Megzy? Good morning. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm tough, and I don't think that tough resolution, that tough resolve, rather. I don't think that that's going anywhere. But what I've definitely tried to do going into 2021, especially, is practice precision. Like, be more precise in my call outs, be more precise in my indictments, be more precise in my call-ins, be more precise about what I'm trying to alert you all to, right? And the other thing I wanted to do, I want to continue to complicate your relationships with nonprofit industrial complex culture here in Charleston. We definitely need to keep doing that. I'm going to continue to complicate your relationship with a lot of institutions that are just, household names at this point, things that we just view as innocuous. I'm going to continue to do that, but I'm going to do it in the spirit of like, hey, this is whack, right? This is whack, but here's an alternative. I don't think the onus is always on me to provide all of the analysis, all of the solutions. I don't think it's realistic, nor do I think it is. Hey, good morning, Denise. Hey, Brianne. Let me know if you have trouble in the chat, Brianne. I don't think the onus is on me to really like come up with all the solutions and the problem. I think that's the issue, and especially like I'm really good with boundaries. As a Black woman, I'm really trying to get y'all to divest from the entitlement. A lot of folks feel entitlement to Black women's emotional and physical labor. So for that specific reason, specifically, I don't feel compelled to always give all of the solutions. But today I'm going to illustrate some issues within the nonprofit industrial complex. Let me just switch it up real quick. All right. What up? So this is what I was going to send out this morning, but I ran out of time to do the newsletter. Move my little Chiron thing. Move it back to where it was. All right, so this is the thumbnail that will go out in the newsletter, promoting today's show that people can watch on demand. Hey, what's up, Evelyn? I was just giving Nicole a shout out about the art exhibition. Yeah. I'm really excited for y'all. Especially Evelyn, your pictures. How big? 4 feet? 3 feet? How tall? How big? 5 feet? All right. But today, what I want to do is talk about, because I get this every year. And shout out to the one Instagram follower who actually asked me a question that led me to create today's theme with the live stream, which is save some cash, right? This holiday giving season, right? Support change, not charity. So and this is not if you're listening, if you're watching, Instagram follow who hit me up like, yo, I wanna support things, da 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 da. The Instagram follow, I'm just calling out the language, not calling out the person or the request. But the person used the word charities, like, hey, are there any charities that you think we can, that you can support? And let me tell you this, I've already said this, that I do not want to be I never wanted Charleston Activist Network to be a database, a list of orgs that seemingly do good shit. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to aggregate a list. I don't want to traffic in that because it's just not anything I'm remotely interested in. And also too, I'm trying to get y'all to be more intentional. I'm trying to facilitate conversations that will lead to folks being more intentional about where they, what they support, how they support it, and what their expectation is. I'm also trying to get people to be more involved, as opposed to just stroking a check, just dropping off a couple nickels and dimes and some change for maybe a tax deduction. You know, I'm trying to get y'all to a facilitated conversation in a space that encourage y'all to be more mindful in how you give and what you give to. Not all charities are created equal. Not all NGOs are created equal. So I want to talk about today. Like, hey, hopefully y'all save some dollars. Hopefully, if you really care about change in a place like Charleston, if you really care about change in a state like South Carolina, it's time for us to start looking at a more progressive approach to this and stop just giving to the Red Cross and, you know, the usual suspects. I don't want to keep calling it. I'm gonna call out the Red Cross because that's they on some fuck shit. Believe me, I lived in the Northeast during Sandy. I got fuck shit, okay? Empty box trucks riding around. They're just promoting the Red Cross, looking busy doing nothing. Activity versus achievement, right? Not really achieving shit, but being real active. So yeah, I don't want to like just point out the shitty philanthropies. I'm at this point, y'all should be able to at least have a better nose for what's really like whack versus what's really substantive. But also too, like, remember when we were talking to Rose and Anna brought up those really important questions and concerns. With that conversation led me to do is want to talk more about making distinctions between just regular charities that don't get at the root of issues, that don't work toward transformational change, that are just that don't have an end date, that don't want to have like an end goal, like, hey, you know what, we don't want to exist forever, we don't want to keep, we want to make those distinctions. And so hopefully we'll have a conversation leveraging I learned, of course, this is very near and dear to me because of the work I did last year with Cypress before they unceremoniously and unjustly fired me. One thing that I love doing, it had very little to do with Cypress and everything to do with the Giving Project Network. And many of y'all know me, who know me personally, know that I am doing some contracted work with Bread and Roses out of Philly. And so now that I'm even back into the Giving Project mode of facilitation, I'm actually going to borrow from some guides and some resources that we use when we facilitate and teach a cohort of about 20 or so people, how to resource themselves, how to resource their own communities, how to raise money to support grassroots work in your city and do it in a meaningful way and support work that actually gets at the root of problems. All right, let me see. El Kuj, you just dropped in the chat. I'm gonna start from the most recent and work up. You said mutual aid versus just giving to typical nonprofits is something I just started understanding the last couple of years. Absolutely. I'm glad. That's really good to hear. I would really love to hear more about that as we continue to talk. If anything comes up, Salvation Army, right? Right. You can ring that bell all you want. Evelyn, you said not a client facing. He said them, not client facing at all. And my clients say they never pick up the phone. Right. Excited about this convo. And just add to it whatever you want to add to it in the spirit of of enlightenment. Again, going back to what I just said when I opened up, really being more precise. I'm learning to be more precise in my call outs and be more constructive. But at the same time, like, we won't call it what it is. Like, we're not losing that. No. So yeah, today we're going to talk about this and we're going to look at some resources. Evelyn was in my Giving Project, y'all. So Evelyn knows a lot of the stuff that we'll talk about. But I won't be, trying to pull up some stuff. but it's more. Yeah. Evelyn's familiar with a lot of the things that we talked about, and y'all are too. Hold on, I'm just trying to pull up something. Trying to get my life right, y'all. All right. Let me close this. All right. Also, I'm trying to get my life right. So today we're going to talk about this. And then also, let me switch back, camera only. I know y'all really excited about this. I'm loading up. I'm going to try to be better. Hey, what's up, Jessica? I'm going to try to be better with like sound effects. Because y'all really want the sound effect. Let me stop. It's just fun. It's just fun. So let me see what new sound effects I have. So if Allie, hello, what's up from Canada? What is it? Vise Frame? What's up, B-Man? So yeah, I got some new sound effects. Good morning to everyone who trickled in if I missed you. Good morning. New sound effects. So I think when Allie joins us or Susanna, they'll get the... Did y'all hear that? Yeah, y'all heard it. Okay. Or maybe if we're talking that legal, we're talking about the criminal justice system. We're talking about the juvenile justice system. No laser beam. Even though we don't support or promote cop procedurals. We don't support it, but we understand Law and Order, the show, is just look. It's part of the fabric of America. It's woven into the tapestry that is pop culture in America. And I refuse to divest from that bullshit. It's fun. It's fun to watch. You love the second one. What's up? And then for the ghetto white nonsense in Charleston, this is what we're gonna like for the Murdaws, right? If y'all like, I'm gonna play this.
And it has a white refrigerator. I was like, oh, not a white refrigerator. Girl, please put your shoes on. Let's go find you a home.
Oh, Woo Child of Ghetto. That's the classic Nene Leakes Woo Child of Ghetto scene. I didn't have time to edit it up and put that part in there, but we're gonna talk about.
And it has a white
refrigerator. That's our code for like, ooh, you ghetto. If you got a white refrigerator, I'm not coming at your neck. Relax. I guarantee you, I will mix up these buttons, these new ones. So you're welcome for hitting the wrong button for the wrong thing. You're welcome in advance. But we're gonna get to it. I can't wait till Allie comes. When Allie comes, I'm just gonna. And then when Susanna comes, I'm just gonna. I cannot wait. Anyway, no laser beams. All right, change it back up. Good morning again. We're gonna hit this up. Save some cash this season. This holiday savings. I know y'all love a coupon. I know y'all love a discount. I'm gonna give you free game that's like a discount. You know what I mean? And also we're gonna talk about the transactional nature of giving to 501c whatevers just for a tax deduction. Like if you're deliberately working toward dismantling white supremacy and many other oppressive forces, you really have to examine like why you're doing it. And if you do it just to get something back, whether it's recognition, whether it's a tax write-off, whether it's I don't know, maybe you're a benevolent narcissist like my ex, and you just want people to see you doing the absolute most. You really do have to start to examine and explore your motivations for giving. So that's what we want to talk about today. All right, here we go. All right, especially here in Charleston, we gotta get it together. So let's see where I want to hop into first. Also, I'm resisting the urge to keep talking about this damn van life, but at the end, I think I found a better van. Yesterday, that Bohemian couple was so cute. The black Bohemian couple, so cute, but I found another black girl out here doing it in van life. And I really just want to watch it because I love those videos. I just love them, and y'all just gonna have to sit here and love them with me. But I do want to do a complete news roundup. We are going to talk significantly about what our congressmen, congresswoman, and our senators are up to. So we talking Lindsey, we talking Timmy, we talking Nancy Disgrace, we talking, we're talking Lindsey, Timmy, Nancy. We're gonna talk all that. But let's go through the news roundup. All right. Hopefully you're using your public library card to access your local news. I'm back on it. I know I've been like really, not following my own practices here on Mic'd Up, but this is the Post and Courier. I'm going to leave this edition up so where if we have to read the entire article, we'll flip the page, but let me go ahead and pull up the PDF. We're going to revisit this too. Maybe not. Maybe not. We might not have time to get to this again, but it coincides with what we're going to talk about with the philanthropy in this region. All right, so this is the front page of today's Charleston Post and Courier. Y'all, they got a peach vaccine. They got a peach vaccine that helps stave off root rot. Right, and that's right in the middle of the Thursday paper. This is so important. It is important, but like. All right. So then way below, I didn't even see this actually. Hasty Point Plantation to tell the story of the enslaved. We got to read this. Bar for bar. We got to read this. Okay. Let's see how they going to do it. All right. After talking about slave badges, and I'm going to revisit that slave badge thing. I think tomorrow so basically, again, I said this yesterday and I'm going to say it one more time. When Caitlin Bird wrote the piece about the slave badges that was featured in yesterday's print version of the state newspaper, it wasn't that Caitlin did anything wrong or egregious. It's just the way we got to talk about some things. And I think with the new GOP, the Monstar Squad, the GOP, and how they are constantly misrepresenting, exploiting, appropriating the horrific Jewish Holocaust history and experience, the way that they traffic in this anti-intellectual, hey, we're going to compare mandates to the oppression that Jewish Jewish families and populations experience, in Germany. No. Like the way they have been using stars and like it furthers, it encourages me to have a conversation about the vestiges of oppression, the vestiges of atrocity, the remnants, the artifacts, the history, right? And we know how Black survivorship, and not to compare atrocities, but Black survivorship just really does not, as evidenced by developers being able to build entire libraries and communities on the literal bones of Black people. And, we know that Black survivorship, the story of slavery in America, the story being told, as it's more often told and celebrated, it doesn't have that heft. And I feel like the more we don't make these things sacred and off limits. I thought that the Holocaust was off limits, but seeing like the Monstars just doing whatever they want to do, clearly we've gotten to a point where we've normalized people being able to bastardize what these things mean. So I want to have a greater conversation about that, about the slave badges that people are finding and selling on Black markets. And is that a crime? I think that, isn't that, if you find something like that, I don't think that's, but people are profiting off these slave badges. I've got messages in my inbox on DMs right now. I'm not going to say my uncle's name, but he collects slave badges. And I've gotten like a handful of those. My ex-husband found a slave badge, and I don't want to say anything, but he found one and he sold it. I've gotten those over the years. So we're going to talk about that. Maybe tomorrow. I just wanted to tie that up. But this is the state newspaper. We're going to tie it up because they nonsense. The GOP Monstar Squad it would be funny if they didn't have so much power and influence, right? It would be funny how they're acting, posing their kids with AKs, whatever, assault rifles and shit, and high capacity guns for Christmas cards. Gun culture is crazy. Anyway, the way they acting, it would be laughable if it wasn't so mean and disgusting. I never thought I would encounter people. This sounds real Pollyanna-ish. like people that really don't have no moral core, that shit scares the shit out of me. When you just don't want to see, like you just have a profit motive, you're intoxicated by power or whatever it is. I've never thought that like this must be akin to what my parents bore witness to when they were growing up in the Jim Crow South. Like just nothing. Yeah. And most of them are fake. Yeah, Evelyn, you robbed in the chat. Exactly that. Yeah. Yeah, that's even more gross. It's somehow more gross. It is. It's sociopathic. Lack of empathy is disgusting. And I think, now this is where I think, now I'm 41 Savage, right? Yeah. I definitely see with the Boberts and even the Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I don't know how old she is. She looks like a leather bag and I don't care how that sounds. I don't know how old she is, but I'm assuming that she and I are not that far apart. My point is saying that I'm seeing now in adults what folks have been saying with their kids on social media, that they lack empathy because you can't, when you say something mean, when you post a mean tweet, you can't see the other person's reaction. You can't see them sad. You can't see their face, and so I think we live in this very social media impacted, affected, infected society where empathy is in short supply because of the way we communicate with one another more readily. Does that make sense? That's just one. I don't have children, but I've seen how social media has shaped the way I communicate. I've seen it fuck me up. I've seen it make me say, well, fuck it. I can say what the fuck I want to say about elected official. I'm like, some things require a little bit more thought, Meek. Some things require a little bit more strategy than just firing off, heat shots, right? Good morning, Joy. Good to see you. B-Man in the chat here on Twitch, you said it's so fucking antagonistic, all right? And that's the other part, too. Same with the fuck Biden flags, right? It's like, what's the point? And like, what's the point? I don't get it. Right? Little mama, you said there isn't any point other than cruelty, right? Cruelty is the point. Brienne, you says empathy is something that seems to be lacking in so many people. Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, right? All right. So anyway, this is the front page of the state newspaper. Council aims to keep elections fair amid gentrification. Now, this is the one to read. Over here to the right, we have Pine Island to be open to the public. I don't know what that is. Oh, Lake Murray, da-da-da-da. That sunken city underneath that Lake Murray. Flood a whole city. All right, $1.5 million design contract approved for Finlay Park facelift. Okay, but this right here, this is something to read. Let's go back to that Post and Courier. We're going to touch on city council today. We're just going to do a real quick, what they was talking about. We talked about it yesterday, but we're going to watch a little bit of the actual city council meeting real quick. I'm going to try not to spend all day on that. But let's get back to this story right here, this Hasty Point story. Nikki Haley released a book online. An ebook? Say ebook. All right, so let's get to this story real quick. Oh, let me read it in the Charleston Library. Yeah, let's read it here. Cool. All right. So this is Hasty Point Plantation to tell stories of the enslaved people. Let's see. Groups to help as property joins Federal Nature Preserve. Georgetown. Hasty Point Plantation in Plantersville. I wonder where that name originated from. In Plantersville, once one of the world's largest rice plantations, is becoming part of a Federal Nature Preserve. Oh, you know what that means. Part of a Federal Nature Preserve with more than 770 acres of longleaf pine trees, wetlands, rice fields, and massive oak trees sitting on the PD River. More than 100 enslaved people once lived on the property. Somebody got the memo. Somebody got the Professor Caroline Grego memo. We're going to talk about who was on the plantation. Somebody got a little, let's see if the editors let them do their job. Let's see. All right, more than 100 enslaved people once lived on the property, and a group of Georgetown residents want to ensure their stories are told accurately at the site. All right, this is in quotes, what I'm interested in learning from the property is how we can connect the true history for the great planters. Whoa. Before the great planters, or Europeans came here. Okay, what you talking about, indigenous? Residents and local historian Steve Williams said during a meeting with a consultant working on the programs at the preserve. All right, I am interested in how they treated the land. Oh wait, we not okay, because here we are trying to preserve it decades and centuries later, right? All right, I'm gonna go to A4. Let's go to 4. But they must have found A4. Hold on, we're gonna get through this local news roundup. Let's get to it. Where it at? Okay, here it is. They must have found ways to preserve that land too. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service purchased the property with the help of Open Space Institute in July 2020 for $5 million, million with an M, from owner Bob Schofield to become part of a Waccamaw National Wildlife Refuge. So let me break that down. Y'all already know this, right? Let me see this. Let me see if y'all dropping anything. Nope. Let me go back to the oldie but goodie. Shout out to my homie Brian Walter. Let's go to the oldie but goodie. What I like to whip out. So when I hear all this, I don't hear, "Ooh, this is great." I'm skeptical, right? So this is what I hear when I hear, "Oh, we're preserving it. It's going to be a wildlife preserve." And now, granted, the plantations do need some sort of preservation effort, but we know that we have to learn how to decode that a little bit, right? So it says, this is from my homie Brian Walter, and I've posted this, I've spoken on this, I've live streamed about this. All right, the Charleston Preservation Regime, right? Winslow Hasty, how you doing? How you doing, Winslow Hasty? How you doing? The Charleston Preservation Regime does even more than just protect the history of the Confederacy and bury/whitewash the history of slavery, though we know that it sure does that, right? Okay. By working to preserve and monetize white history and heritage, the industry also works to perpetuate the same narrative that it glorifies. So, for instance, the Preservation Society and Historic Charleston Foundation do not just preserve homes, but function as tools for Black displacement and gentrification. Preservation Society developed the nation's first historic district, which acted as early redlining. And the Historic Charleston Foundation model was literally purchase Black property and pass it to white buyers who could restore it. Okay? Do we kind of feel some of them vibes from this story? We're gonna keep reading the story. Make sure we get to the part about the enslaved, right? Before the Europeans. Yeah, we just want to talk about the land. No. Well, no. It's a plantation. It's a labor camp. Let's talk about that, right? All right. Historic districts protect white landowners and give them control over what happens in certain areas of town. Similarly, the conservation of wilderness and plantation spaces. Oh, that's more like.
Now listen.
That's motherfucking bars. That's motherfucking bars. That's motherfucking bars from Brian. Brian, I know you could spit like this. Okay. Historic districts protect white landowners and give them control over what happens in certain areas of town. Similarly, the conservation of wilderness and plantation spaces function as a tool to preserve white plantation land ownership. Tax-free. Tax motherfucking free. So let's not get all caught up in they're gonna tell good stories and they're gonna have the guy that comes out there and reenacts slavery and performs his own oppression. He's gonna come out there and have a camp out at night and he's gonna act like a slave. I'm sorry, I can't. That slave reenactment shit gotta go. Let's normalize, let's popularize reenacting the rebellion and revolts. Fuck all that. I'm gonna perform my oppression at a campfire with a sleeping bag. Fuck all that. I wish the fuck I would pay to watch a Black man perform his oppression and have to camp. But fuck that. Anyway, sorry. Land ownership tax-free and restrict access to the land. This is the other part, right? So this is white plantation land ownership, right? And we know dudes sold it, right? But still, right? There are ways that there are probably some benefits, some other backdoor stuff. Anyway, restrict access to land that in the past Black folks either utilize or own. In short, preservation is not just about preserving the memory of white supremacy. It's about actively and materially continuing white supremacy itself. Boom, boom. Let's go. I think that was really good. All right. Thank you so much, moderator. I don't know what happened. Sorry. Thank you so much. All right. So, hey, Nicole. All right. Let me see. Family values, right? Mm-hmm. Tell that. Put up that plaque with that on it. It needs to be. Okay. So here we go. Back to the story so we can continue reading, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, from A1. All right, so yeah, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service purchased the property with the help of Open Space Institute in July 2020 for $5 million. Owner Schofield to become part of Waccamaw National Wildlife Refuge. The refuge covers 55,000 acres in Georgetown, Horry, and Marion counties. On December 7th, representatives of the refuge and the Mandela Research. Oh, is that the one from Virginia? That's working on all the black stuff. It's the white led consultant group that's based out of Virginia that's helping the Gullah Geechee corridor too. Cause I got questions. On December 7th, representatives of the Mandela Research consultant group hired to design the programs for the preserve held their first 4 meetings with residents to talk about what opportunities they want to see on the property to accurately tell stories of the enslaved people who worked on the plantation. We got to get to the point too where we start talking about the stories of their engineering brilliance. Like they were brilliant engineers. Like we got to start, because our story doesn't start with our enslavement, right? It begins with you came over to certain regions because of a certain brilliance, because of a certain acumen, right? Rice Coast, right? Accurately tell the stories of the enslaved. Hopefully it starts with that, right? Georgetown County residents Ebony Hughes, shout out Ebony, suggested that Laura Mandela, who heads the research firm, reach out to local African-American foundations and Native American tribes to get their input. That's a good suggestion. I think, y'all know Ebony Hughes. I always say I know Ebony Hughes. I always, every time I see it, reach out to the local, I think it's important that those funds are being generated by the plantation, are being pumped back into African-American community. Come on. And maybe include African-American businesses that can offer and provide those types of services for education, because they do exist. The Mandela agreed with Hughes and said several Native American tribes have been contacted about the property, including in the planning. From day one, when we started working with the Waccamaw National Wildlife Refuge, the priority was the community and the indigenous population. Okay. We'll see. Sound like a feel-good story, but we shall see. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna get to the gentrification story from the state, but let's go ahead now. Yeah, I'm gonna close out that print news roundup. So what I want to do is come over here, and there were some headlines. They really do refresh. Like, I wanted to play this story. Let's do some news roundup real quick, and we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes of today's conversation. All right, this seemed like a really sad story. All right, it's half Black students not meeting academic expectations in Charleston County. That's super sad. All right, let's go ahead. What are you doing? Hold on. Let me unmute it. This is really sad. We're going to read the copy.
News. Right now on Live 5 News at 6, minority students are falling behind their...
Shout out Ann McGill with the new do. Feeling it.
white counterparts at the highest rate in at least 4 years.
Just 18% of Black students are in 4th grade are at or above expectations on state testing.
Meanwhile, that number is 57% for white students. Nick Reagan has details on what one board member says needs to be done about it.
I have some thoughts.
47% of Hispanic students and 54% of Black students in the Charleston County School District did not meet expectations on state tests for math in 2021. And it's even worse for English scores. For white students, those numbers are below 9%.
One of the
That's
problems
crazy.
we're having with Charleston County School District is that, as we know, the history of this district is set up so that Black children, brown children are destined to fail.
Dr. Frazier
Ask me how I know
says she
that's true.
started a monthly community forum to bring awareness to this issue and to get the community more involved. She says the district is doing its part, but that proactive efforts have been slowed by COVID.
We have a superintendent now who has been trying to address these issues by
I don't know about that.
hiring more minority staff, by implementing programs to address the specific academic needs of our Black students.
Across the state, the number of minority students not meeting expectations routinely doubles or even triples that of white students, something CCSD parent Howie Coleman says is a problem for everyone.
It's a Black and white issue. We all suffer if any segment of our community is dysfunctional or is not brought up to snuff.
He says the system is broken,
Wait.
but it can be
I ain't
fixed.
trying to trip. They said he was a parent.
If any segment of our
Who's Howie? Who's this? The name sound familiar. I'm about to say, Joy, you read my mind. I'm like, he a parent. Like, let me show up there and be a mother. MUVA. I was like, Howie. Oh, this is what oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. We watching you. Oh, he lead that group, the Facebook group, the Fugazi Facebook group. That's him. Okay. That's him. Okay. Now I know. Yeah. Got in the back and forth in the education lab. I defended honor. Yeah. Okay. Now he ain't no CCSD parent.
our community is dysfunctional or is not brought up to snuff.
He says the system is broken, but it can be fixed.
The brains are here. The people are here that know how to fix it. It's just a question of getting the whole community together, the whole area together, in order to fix it. And I'm convinced that it can be fixed.
In Charleston, Nick Reagan, Live 5 News.
Okay. That was one story that they were placing prominent on their feed that I wanted to hit up. There's another story. I'm not going to go to Mount Plastic. I'm not going to go to these arrests. Let me see. Yeah, this one right here. More Charleston County schools news. Charleston County School District holding community meeting for early college high school. Okay. Come on.
When someone is hurt, they often say they want a good lawyer. But what does that mean? A good lawyer is truthful
These
with his
law
clients.
firms are killing me.
A good lawyer puts her client's interests ahead of her own. And a good lawyer isn't afraid to climb into the ring to fight for what's right.
Okay.
At the Joy Law Firm, we can't guarantee the result on your case.
Yeah.
Charleston County School District is set to host a community meeting tonight to
What's up,
discuss the
Thoughtfully
process
Lit?
to build a support building for early
shit.
college high school.
Thank you, Thoughtfully Lit. Yo, you and Nicole, y'all a real one. Thank you. 8-month subscription. I like it.
On the Wilmot J. Frazier campus, staff is expected to talk about the needs of ECHS academic programs, share information about the current space and how the space is used. There will also be an opportunity for people to speak with the school district staff directly. That meeting is set for tonight at 6 o'clock at Trident Technical College's Palmer campus. That's in the auditorium.
Okay.
Charleston County School.
Let me pause this real quick. Let me read the chat. Joy, you offered up. God damn it. Can't even fucking pause. Excuse my French. Like, come on. All right. What's this? Lieutenant Governor. Now, whoa. Oh, no, the Dorchester District 2 career and technical. Yeah, we're not going to that Zucker situation there. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to close this out. We're going to YouTube, just catch up on, okay, so if you're watching this playback later and you're not watching it on Twitch, this might get edited out when I put it on YouTube. This might get edited out, but this going to careen the car very abruptly to the shenanigans going on in Washington from our elected officials who represent us in Washington, Congress and Senate. So this shit, y'all didn't even put this on my radar. I was howling. So this might get edited out because I know all these late shows is like, no, you can't use our clips. So, but we gonna watch it here. This shit had me dying.
Public infighting
right
among
up,
the House GOP.
Right
at the center.
Right up my alley too. Just the foolishness. This is from the Stephen Colbert Show.
Public infighting among the House GOP. At the center of the exchange, Representative Nancy Mace, who criticized fellow Republican Lauren Boebert for making anti-Muslim comments about Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and others. In response to Mace's comments, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted in part, Nancy Mace is the trash in the GOP conference.
It's like they're auditioning for the Real Housewives.
You are watching C-SPAN 3. The nurse will be making rounds shortly.
Shut up, I watch C-SPAN 3.
Next, the Real House members of Capitol Hill.
I filled out paperwork to legally adopt Kyle Rittenhouse.
Algebra is a Muslim plot to create something I don't understand.
I've never heard of me either.
It did Nancy
Is there
dirty.
anything that the National Forest Service can do to change the course of the moon's orbit?
Tonight's episode, the Real House members touch base at the National Prayer Breakfast.
Jewish space lasers are real. Pay attention, police.
Prostitution whore.
It's the Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
What Jersey got to do with it? Of course, Jersey Housewives makes an appearance, right? Right? Takes one to know one. That shit was funny. Because I was like trying to look up. I was looking up, just the news, the video news featuring Timmy, Lindsay, and Nancy, and that came up. I'm like, what the fuck? It was 7 days ago, I think, last week. All right, so here's some other news. Again, Nancy, I want to give her like a I'm dating myself tremendously, but I'm sure some young Gen Z will write a script about it and it'll be on Netflix. It's probably in development right now. Y'all remember Dick Tracy? Now, I ain't old enough to remember like the origins. I know the origins of Dick Tracy being a comic strip back in the day, right? But you remember like in the 90s, Madonna and, all that, the remake. I think Nancy needs a Dick Tracy villain name. I'm going to look at some of the Dick Tracy villain names because they were good. Them and Batman, they got some good names because she got like a Two-Face quality going on. I know that's Batman. She got like a Two-Face quality going on. So yeah, let me see where I want to start. Let's start with them, and then we could go back to local if we need to. So this is Nancy. This was relatively recently. This was on the second.
To decriminalize marijuana.
This is on the second. This was the Hill events. And this is her. Just gonna play a little bit of this because I can't stomach too much.
Marijuana at the federal level, and frankly, it does a lot more stuff too. Congresswoman Mesa, it's great to be with you. You're in the news just about everywhere, so I'm glad we got a slice of your time to talk about this. I just want to read you something that you said. I don't want to tell our audience, it's not something you often hear. You said, I would categorize this bill as a compromise bill. It has something good for everyone, Republicans and Democrats. I put a lot
we're gonna stop there because we don't want to indulge too much in pride. So you see her doing her thing. Really don't need to watch her we're good. But that's Nancy, and then. This is the real Nancy. Now, this is from last week, too. WJCL. What region is that? Buford?
At 5:30.
Is that the low country? WJCL. What's this, Fox? Oh, ABC. I don't know what part of. I guess it's the low country. So this is also Nancy. Oh, look, it's an issue that we all can get along with. We all can get on board with, Tiger King.
At 5:30, South Carolina Congresswoman.
All right, wait. I'm looking at the chat. Okay. Anyway.
Nancy Mace requesting more information from Dr. Anthony Fauci about animal testing on the island known as Monkey Island. It's off the coast of St. Helena. Representative Mace wrote in a letter saying she's found information saying up to 600 monkeys are captured from Morgan Island, then subjected to testing.
Wait, there's an island with monkeys on it?
They're infected with debilitating and painful diseases while withholding pain relief. She calls the practice abhorrent and says she is still waiting on answers.
Oh, God. Oh, no, we don't want to watch that.
A former Minnesota police officer charged with killing a young black man.
We're not watching that. That's crazy. Wait, so the monkeys are taken from, I have no clue what the fuck. Y'all said Tiger Island. It's Monkey Island. I mean, Tiger King, but I don't. You can only get to it by boat. There's monkeys out there? I'm dead ass serious. What are you talking about? What are we talking about? I accused my friend Rebecca of taking me to Jumanji like a few months ago. Don't tell me we got a real life like Jumanji Island. All right, so this is what Lindsay been up to. This is actually from, this is like a day ago?
Justice.
Yeah, this posted yesterday. All right, so it's really quick. Well, no, it's not. It's 13 minutes, but we're gonna zoom through it. We're gonna zoom through it. This is Lindsay. It says this just in. Not this just in. Our homie here. It says Justin, Lindsey Graham blocks Kirsten Gillibrand's military justice reform legislation in Senate. Good job, Lindsay.
Senator from New York.
Madam President, I rise today to call for every senator to have the opportunity to cast their vote on the Military Justice Improvement and Increasing Prevention Act. I started calling for this up or down vote since May 24th because I knew, and sexual assault survivor advocates knew, that if the Armed Services Committee leadership had the chance, they would strip the provision out of the NDAA behind closed doors, despite the overwhelming support the bill has in both the Senate and House. That is exactly what has just happened. Time and time again, I've asked on this floor for the same opportunity to have an up or down vote. Time and time again, I've heard the same false promise that we would proceed under regular order and that the will of the members of this body would be respected.
Okay, so let's go. Got the gist of that, and maybe we'll hold on a second. Let's get to our boy.
Carolina.
Yes, thank you. Reserving the right to object to my colleague from New York. I want to compliment you for the efforts you've brought to the table on trying to reform the military justice system, particularly in the areas of sexual assault.
Yeah.
I think we're making some real progress
No,
here.
you're not.
The one thing I don't like is basically taking the commander out of the loop when it comes to military justice in a fashion that basically says we can't trust our commanders to discipline their forces.
You can't.
A lot of the crimes that is being proposed here, taken out of the military justice system, have nothing to do with sexual assault. But the theory is that
he's treading lightly.
Discriminatory. There's racial bias in the system, and that we have a biased military justice system based on the color of your skin.
You do.
Quite frankly, I don't believe that, and I'm never going to say that.
Of course.
And that would be taking us down that road.
You need to go there.
What Senator Inhofe and Reid have done, I think, makes a lot of sense. We've added to the list of crimes that would get special scrutiny. I think it's murder, kidnapping.
Y'all are all saying what I just said.
One other beyond the sexual assault crimes. So when there's an allegation of sexual assault, there'll be a new process.
Oh, really?
That goes into whether or not the case goes to trial. One of the issues is who should pick the jury. Well, the prosecutor can't pick the jury. The special prosecutors, you can't have the prosecutor picking the jury. The convening authority, the commander in charge of the units in question, will still be picking the jury, but the lawyers can strike members of the jury for cause and peremptory challenges. So at the end of the day, I think we've made a lot of progress. Senator Gillibrand's bill goes well beyond the stated purpose of what got us talking about all this.
So yeah, more just stifling, not really trying to move forward. It would be more impressive if he teamed up with her. I don't know the state of this legislation. I didn't know that Gillibrand was bringing that that issue up for that length of time. But now it's on my radar now, especially if Lindsay is blocking it. And so he just blocked this. He just blocked this. So this legislation, and that's all that the GOP does is obstruct. They don't really govern. They don't really do shit. And we don't do shit either. The Democrats don't do shit because y'all control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and y'all act like y'all don't know what to do. All right, let's get to little Timmy, and then we're gonna get to Jim. No, I'm not gonna call James Clyburn Jimmy. We'll get to James Clyburn after this. Let's get to Timmy though.
My friends and colleagues have said up here already, but I do want to focus on the importance of the mandate's impact on public safety.
All right, so we know locally what's dominated headlines here in the South Carolina is that our state has rejected Biden's vaccine mandate legislation, yada yada yada, or mandates period, not legislation. And so I guess Timmy is continue that opposition to mandates, even amid Omicron, even amid an uptick in certain areas. But yeah, let's hear it.
To South Carolina and North Charleston, I see cities throughout South Carolina and around the country, frankly, New York City being perhaps the poster child of bad decisions, especially as it relates to this mandate.
Not really.
Decision
Not really.
The mayor has made.
Not really.
The negative impact that it will have on public safety is without question one of the most alarming aspects of this mandate, and one of the reasons why I look forward to the passage of this CRA. But importantly, think about the firefighters who are no longer working on their jobs.
What you talking about?
Think about the EMS drivers, the EMTs.
How many people really retired? How many people really retired? Like, I know we're gonna talk about Striketober and the recent, like, the Kellogg labor negotiations that I'm loving seeing them hold the line. But like, did we see that? Y'all kind of kept me honest before. Did we see that mass retirement thing happening within law enforcement and first responders? I thought that was overblown a little bit.
Able to save lives. And you think about the law enforcement officers, the police officers.
So this is all just,
in my hometown.
Just like what Lindsey Graham just did. This is all just talking directly to donor base. This is all talking directly to, directly to the faction that he's purported to serve, which is law enforcement and other entities. So he's not saying anything. Yeah.
And throughout this nation who are no longer on the job. The negative impact on public safety in a year where
they were quitting before mandates. They were quitting after the protests. They were quitting after when people took to the streets. They were quitting.
Is hitting highs. It's a devastating impact in places like the one that I grew up in, where the last thing you want is fewer officers patrolling the streets.
I'm telling you.
The thing you want most is the presence.
What's up, Australia Fuego?
Neighborhoods, and we see that not being possible as city after city across this nation sees a loss of more and more.
Okay, cut his mic. All right, I can't do it. All right, getting through. This is gonna be the last update, and then the last little update.
At risk of eviction.
So first of all, I didn't know nothing about this. If y'all know about this organization, Housing Assistance Council. So it looks like yesterday or the day before yesterday, there was they had a virtual conference, the National Rural Housing Conference. I'm actually I haven't watched it, so I can't characterize what it is. But let's listen to a few minutes of the opening remarks to figure out what this is, and then get to, I saw Maxine Waters in it. Then we're going to get to Clyburn, whatever he's saying, really quickly, not really, just to put it on your radar.
Good morning. Great to see you all again today.
Oh boy.
I hope you're still enjoying some of the glow from yesterday.
Thank you for the links.
And plenaries. I know I am. And my favorite part about it, as predicted, is seeing old friends and meeting new. The Conference Central app and the chat boxes seem to be doing their thing. So please keep it up. Stay active, talking in there. And I hope you got a good night's sleep, because we have another exciting and full day ahead of us.
Okay.
Here's what you have to look forward to. We're starting the day right here with a plenary featuring congressional leaders. More on that in a minute. Afterwards, we have a couple of more rounds of workshops at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific.
All right. I'll Google. I'll do my Googles. Let's get to Clyburn. Maxine Ward is going to skip. So I guess they pre-recorded their little messages. Not little, but...
Congressman Clyburn has been a champion for areas of persistent poverty for decades and will be sharing his work to address the needs of persistently poor rural communities.
And why is it still persistently poor? Remember, we're going to, for those tuning in, This is the topic for today. We're going to talk about change versus charity, and hopefully save y'all a couple of ducats this holiday season. But talking about persistent poverty, Clyburn, you've been in office since the 90s, bruh. Since I was in high school.
And to advance rural affordable housing and community development. We welcome Congressman Clyburn to the virtual stage and thank him for joining us today.
Hello, I'm Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina's 6th Congressional District. Thank you, Maria, for your kind introduction. Congratulations on the 50th anniversary of the Housing Assistance Council. It's an honor to be a part of your celebration. The American people are very aware that our country faces a housing affordability crisis. But when most people think about this crisis, they think about urban areas. You all know, as I do, that this picture is incomplete. Our nation faces housing.
Okay, all right. Usa, I just can't. All right, it's not even it's nothing compelling or nothing like that. So I'm not interested in showing. Let me see if there's anything else important that I think y'all should watch video wise. Yeah, city council, real quick. So. Yesterday we learned about this new nonprofit that popped up on King Street. And we talked about the legislation that was not a legislation. They proposed ideas for King Street, this business council. Talk about redundancy. You got the CVB. You've got a city councilman. You've got city councilmen who are on committees that are like business committees and whatnot. Yeah, recognizing Don Cameron. Get the fuck out of here. For what? All right. Anyway, so let's take a look. Let's look at the agenda. And so I wanted to get a look at, because they gave them a lot of time. There was no 30-second limit there, buddy. Right? There was no 30-second limit there. There was, let me find it. Active public hearings, citizens participation period, petitions, housing authority, citizen police advisory. I don't have the fortitude to review that with y'all live. Yeah, let's just get to it then. I was trying to find the exact, it's on here. Here it is, right here. Okay. So it's under public hearings. So city council may give second readings, order to a third, give da-da-da-da-da. All right. And so here it is right here. Resolution pursuant to section 593750 of the Municipal Improvement Act of 1999, describing the King Street Business Improvement District and the King Street Improvement Plan to be effected therein, a projected time, yada, yada, yada. All right, so we're going to go here. So it's not public comment period. All right, hold up. Is it muted? Or they just muting it. Nope. All right, let's get to it. Get through all that preamble. Looks like Carol Jackson did the invocation. They giving out proclamations. Yeah, that's what's up. I invite y'all to go check it out on your own. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Is this it?
How can they collectively city communicating, although
let's get to let me see how it was pitched. See how the mayor set it up. And I want y'all to notice the difference between this group coming forward with this initiative versus how they did their own city employee Amber Johnson. How they did. I want y'all to compare this because I mean it's interesting. Oh, okay. Let's just look at the difference. Good morning, everyone.
Will do. So, Pete, I'm sorry I didn't call your first name. So Pete Sherman is Director of Development for the Housing Authority, and Art Milligan will be the new Executive Director. So you heard that number a minute ago, right?
Oh, wow.
2,473.
Oh, wow.
Let's see how long it will take you guys to do the next 2,473.
What's up, DJ?
of new housing units in the city of Charleston. We're going to do that, right? We're going to keep growing it. Thank you. All right. So I did fail to mention when we started the meeting that if the unusual circumstance, we would need to vacate the building. We got these 2 exit doors here.
Oh
one
my
from
God, dude, come on.
All right. So next up is our public hearings. We normally have our planning department announce those.
So why couldn't the special commission, if it was in fact indeed special, why couldn't have gotten this type of like lead? And I understand, like, why couldn't have gotten this type of opportunity to present? You know, Amber was sitting there with a clicker in one hand, her physical presentation, it appeared to be in the other hand. She's trying to fumble with her mask on Daniel Island at a microphone with no dais. So let's just see the difference.
I don't see Mr. Morgan, so our director, Robert Summerfield, is going to take that. And the first item up is our business improvement district.
Listen to
We're very excited about.
Oh, oh my God, business, more money.
But we'll let Robert tee it up, and then we'll welcome.
Stop answering my rhetorical questions
afterwards.
Evelyn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mayor, members of council. So really quickly,
not a
I'm
black
go
person
through,
in the
just
shot.
A brief presentation about what the King Street bid is.
Couldn't even CGI
and then I
one
know
in
we
there.
have members of the community that have signed up to speak.
I bet.
So very quickly, the King Street bid. This is
important, y'all. That's why we're spending time here.
maybe. Okay, so this is not a new concept for the city and for King Street. In fact, this question has been raised since at least 1977, when it appeared in the 1977 revitalization plan for downtown. It was reiterated again in 1999 with the adoption of the downtown plan, further reiterated
such an
in
amazing name.
2011 and upheld again in 2016 with the adoption of the Century 5 plan and its update. More recently, though, this concept of a bid or a business improvement district for King Street really synergized during the ULI, which is the Urban Land Institute technical advisory panel report that they worked on in the spring of this year. And then finally, just recently, the comprehensive plan for the city of Charleston City Plan, also espouses this idea of looking into and progressing a business improvement district.
So all of those plans included this.
So what did we hear during that technical advisory panel that kind of leads us to what is on the agenda in the improvement plan and for this proposed district?
Joy,
and
exactly.
The services that it would provide. So during that panel, we heard a lot of conversation around what can we.
That's all it is. Like, it really is. It's like, it feels like they just scraped it. You know, like a storefront, like they just scraped the old lettering off the window. It's just like, they just scraped like one word off. The Charleston plan, the 1999 plan. Like, it's so, I'm telling you, Charleston is so JV. If you really want me to think it's different, or you really want me to get excited, like, invest in that. But anyway, it's let me. So remember yesterday we heard him talk about wayfinding. That seemed to be a big topic. More signage, right? So let's just listen to this part, and then I'm gonna bounce out because there was some business owners took to the mic and was like on some fuck shit. I'm looking at you, Krogan's jewelry. Got me wanting to tell somebody I love them and divest from Krogan's. I don't know.
Do to make King Street safer? What can we do to make it cleaner? Obviously, the city provides quite a bit of service in that area.
The safety bit, y'all, is where they really gonna go ham on. This is where they're gonna really ramp up the need for more police presence. Let me just say this: like, this shit is not Miami Beach. I know they want to be Miami Beach. I know they want to be as flooded as Miami Beach. I know they want as much cocaine as Miami flow through Charleston. I'm not even being facetious. I'm being reckless, but not facetious. I know they want to be Miami so damn. Let me just keep it here. Let me keep going.
But we know that given the amount of traffic and the amount of people that are in that area, there is more work to do there. what can be done to improve communication? This communication isn't just
okay. So I'm gonna pause it here and just get to the mics where the business owners take to the mic. But I'm gonna move my little chyron here. Y'all see this one that had the bottom? Oh shit! I threw it away. Come back. All right, y'all see that at the bottom though? Y'all see that? Your voice matters. That's intentional. And then look what it's supposed to describe: champion/voice, and inclusivity. So now Black Lives Matter. Your voice matters. That was intentional. That was trying to signal something to somebody. It didn't work. All right, hold on. We're gonna get to. You know what I mean? All right. So this is good. So this is wow. So this is Rhett. She took to the mic. I ain't like what I heard. Oh, look at this. So Helen Hill, you don't have enough. Like Helen, you don't have enough like work to do with the CVB. Shit, where Honor at? Shit, I need to Prime South Group, Lou Hammond Group, Krogan's we know, and CVB we really know. Oh man. I'm sure she is the treasurer. I'm sure she is. Let's keep going.
Almost a year ago today. And over the last 6 months, especially the last 3,
look how much time they gave them.
Constant communication with the city. We set out to put leather on the street and meet with and talk to property owners and business owners on the street. At your last finding.
All right.
Saying thank you.
I think, so this is one of the women here. And then the Krogan's chick, Rhett, is going to take to the mic. Let's just hear her because in the spirit of next month's book club meeting to be announced.
Thank you.
We're going to see what's up with white women. What white women doing? White women, what you up to?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, everybody, I'm Helen Hill. And I can't stand here without looking at all of you and just saying thank you. The story that is told in our community is not a story that's told in the rest of the country right now in terms of the success of our recovery. And it's because we had your support. You all know that King Street is not only the jewel of our community, but it is the jewel of the state of South Carolina. For 35 years.
Oh, it's the crown jewel. Oh, who's been saying that for about a year? Oh, we know. We know the value, baby.
I've seen every economic development prospect for our state of South Carolina be a part of that King Street experience. That is what makes our community special. And thank you for y'all's support in moving this forward because clean, safe, and beautiful is what we're all about.
Thank you.
Here comes Red.
My name is Rhett Alton. I live at 12 Colonial Street. I'm here with my sister, Mariana Hay.
I don't care about your sister. Like, so was that like a common custom, like to name women Red, like in the South? I thought that was like I'm not trying to like say that she can't have a quote unquote masculine sounding name, but I never met a woman named Red.
And we are owners of 308 King Street. We are owners and operators of Krogan's Jewel Box.
Listen to this. Speaking of crime panic, Justin.
King Street is at a tipping point. Charlestonians and visitors deserve better than what they're getting now. We have local customers who no longer feel safe visiting King Street. We get calls like that every week.
I'm gonna let her play.
Every property owner, and we have gone door to door to talk to people who rent their building, to people that own their building, to people that live in the buildings. Every single one of them is willing to chip in and create a private and public partnership so that they pay their part and do their part and meet the city halfway to ensuring a safe, beautiful, and clean King Street.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to stop that. But, we're going to rewind back to what she said at the beginning.
Visitors.
Let's find this a little slightly to the beginning.
My name is Rhett Alton. I live at 12 Colonial Street. I'm here with my sister, Mariana Hay, and we are owners of 308 King Street. We are owners and operators of Krogan's Jewel Box. King Street is at a tipping point. Charlestonians and visitors deserve better than what they're getting now. We have local customers who no longer feel safe visiting King Street. We get calls.
Yeah, we get calls
like that every
day.
week.
I'm sure that y'all, I don't know if y'all can make that out, but these are like a lot of parading elephants on her scarf. I'm sure that was intentional. But it reminds me of this, because this tweet went around because after Meghan McCain lost her shit yesterday on Twitter, she lost her shit. I'm gonna make it so I can play with it. And so everyone started recirculating that tweet from 2020. When she was just like, when she got like ratioed like real easily. Sound like a young kid. So this is Meghan McCain back in this was like whatever I think summer of 2020, right around the protest. My neighborhood in Manhattan is eviscerated. It looks like a war zone. De Blasio and Cuomo are an utter disgrace. This is not America. Our leaders have abandoned us and continue to let great American cities burn to the ground and be destroyed. I never could have fathomed this. And then I don't even know who Kristen Bartlett is. Y'all know who she is. She said, Megan, we live in the same building. I just walked outside. It's fine. And I'm sure, I'm positive that wherever in Manhattan Meghan McCain lives was fine. It was, girl, relax. That's how the Miss Krogan's just sounded to me. People don't feel safe rounding the corner of Colonial Park, whatever it's called, that man-made lake. People don't feel safe coming to South of Broad. Or after their art walk, we used to be able to walk with a glass of wine from gallery to gallery. Those days are over. I don't feel safe in my own city. Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, that's it. I just want to catch y'all up on this. All right, so let's get to what we want to talk about. So I think this is fine. This is from the homie. So basically, y'all, let's switch to it. Switching gears abruptly. All right, so today we want to talk about Change Not Charity. Let me put my face up there because y'all love looking at my face. So Change Not Charity. What I want to do is encourage people, because every year I get this request, not even just on the holidays or during the holiday season, but I oftentimes people they have a relationship with philanthropy that informs the way they interact with my account, right? So even though I model something a little bit different, it's still hard for people to discern what it is that Charleston Activist Network is about. And it has gone through changes, but what it has been for a few years now has been a place where I create content. I leverage digital platforms to advance an activist message, to compel folks to dismantle white supremacy in a more bold and a more effective way directly. Let's discard some of the niceties and the patina of politeness that typically you're conditioned to accept here in Charleston. I've been using my platform, either whether it's the podcast, this live stream, content I created, pictures I take, panels I sit on, whatever it is, right? I'm using that to help y'all encourage y'all to have a different relationship with not just the city, but with power and with how power flows. I want you to be curious about how power flows and from whom or from what it flows from, or from whom and what it flows. So when people reach out like, oh, I want to support a charity and who should I get, and like the language, and again, this is not me coming at the person who asked, actually appreciated the question and I gave a thoughtful response, but they were like, well, I don't want to get duped. So I like that they were letting me know that, hey, I want to give to something that's not fugazi. So it feels like some people are getting that we trust Mika's judgment on some of the things she's talking about. It feels that way. And so I want to kind of have that conversation, save y'all some money, right? But I'm gonna do it in a way that is just a little disruptive. To me, it is. It might feel subtle, might just look like a PowerPoint to you, but we're gonna challenge that. So this is actually, shout out to Jor. Jor is one of like an intern, if you will, with Bread and Roses. Bread and Roses is a fund based in Philadelphia, PA. They hit the homie up like, yo, you want to facilitate? I'm like, yeah, we knew what happened with you, Cypress, but we really rock with you. They didn't say that, but that was the shared sentiment after conversations. Like, yo, we saw that you got dismissed, but we still think we still rock with you. I'm like, that's what's up. So I'm co-facilitating. I'm helping my friend Karen, who is leading the current giving project in Philadelphia. It's a gender justice giving project. So the cohort of about 24 people come together, meet regularly to learn a curriculum. This specific curriculum and its fundraising efforts go toward Philadelphia-based organizations that are working toward gender justice. Okay, so this slide deck that Jor she revamped is from only part of it. I only have a few slides. I'm not giving you all the tea or nothing like that, but I feel like this is pretty fine to share. So last night we convened to talk about collective decision making, and what I think about this part of the curriculum that I really wanted to share with y'all, what made me want to share it with y'all, is that the decision making that we are encouraging the cohort to employ, we're trying to influence their decision making by, like, of course, establishing a certain set of criteria, but I think the criteria can also help you navigate the nonprofit industrial complex, or hopefully divest from that and support some really radical grassroots work. Like my dream would be to have y'all just like stop trying to find charities and start just trying to like hit up like regular degular people who do stuff in their community, like regular degular people who just show up. Like my goal, my hope and my dream is to get y'all to stop looking toward organizations and start maybe looking at the granny down the street that you seen bring in 3 kids off the bus that ain't hers, and give them some after school attention and some safety, or help them with their homework, or the man down the street that's been operating his car wash, a black man down the street on Johns Island operating a car wash with little to no resources, but he does his job, he does it well. He's a small, even small black owned businesses, like what would it look like to not give to a charity, but to reach out to Andrea with Motherland Essentials? And again, this is not, some of the stuff I'm saying is not specifically about charity and grassroots organizing, but what does it look like for y'all to stop trying to go to the Red Cross or to the big muckety muck to take up all the air in the room, take up all the space at the table when it comes to funding? How does it look like for you to start to legitimize, even though they don't need you they don't need you to do that, to validate their work, but your movement, how you choose to support things does validate that work. Like, what does it look like to give that way, right? Let me see. Evelyn, I'm sorry, I just caught your other comment. So yeah, so last night's decision making made me think about, hey, well, let me share some stuff with y'all. Hold on. All right, let me go back to what I want to do. So yeah, last night, yeah, we can do this. So one thing I thought was interesting to look was helpful to look at. I want to repeat this. Do not create criteria. Do not create a scorecard, right? This cohort is getting together and they're making tough decisions on who and how to fund grassroots groups. So of course, to whittle down, dozens of applications, it requires a certain set of criteria. But I want to lift up what is written in the criteria. That's most important. So the things within the criteria sets the tone for who you're going to identify as a potential funding source, right? Or funding recipient, excuse me. The work of so people need to consider the work of the organization. Does the work of the organization promote gender justice, right? So they would score that organization that way, right? The organization is led. So we're stating the criteria as like a fact. And then you measure whether or not they do it or not, 2, 1, or 0. The organization is led by people who are most affected by the issues being addressed. Okay, so when you go out there and you're trying to find an organization to support, who leads it? That's why I'm looking at that Mandela Research, even though that's not the Mandela Research consultant firm that's consulting these plantations on how to be less racist. Well, let me see how you're made up. Let me see how many black people you have on your staff. Let me see how many people of color. Let me see how much diversity you actually have. That actually matters. Who leads the organization actually matters, right? All right. Doesn't always matter. Representation can be overrated. but it matters. The organization has a pipeline or is building a base for developing leadership from within the affected community. How many organizations do you support right now actually mine for the gems of brilliance, the mine for the gems of radical transformation from within the very community they're purported to serving, right? All right. The organization is using or hopes to continue to use community organizing to address the issue. The next one, the organization has the capacity, big word, has the capacity, the knowledge, the skills, and the people to carry out the proposed activities. A lot of people get you with that PowerPoint, like, yo, we're gonna do this, we're gonna cure cancer, we're gonna cure AIDS, we're gonna house the homeless, Like, do you really got all the, like, you really built for that? Let me see that. Show me the Carfax. All right. The proposed activity, next one, the proposed activities make sense and have the potential to lead to proposed changes. Let me read that again, underrated. The proposed activities make sense, right? Shout out to the cheer. The proposed activities make sense and have the potential to lead to proposed changes in policies or practice. That's a real one. All right. Not saying the organization need to have like all this, but you get what I'm saying. Let's change the way we think about how we think of valid or legitimate legitimate grassroots organized. I don't even want to use nonprofits because I don't want to use it. All right. The organization's projected budget includes reasonable expenses and revenue projections. Now, that's when you need to look at the Salvation Armies and look at the Red Crosses, because a lot of y'all money is just going to salaries. So, like, what's the budget looking like? Where's the money going to? You raising all this money. Yesterday, you want to tell me about the city's $3.9 million shortfall, and I'm like, they got like literal billionaires in their back pocket. $3.9 million. Don't tell me about no budget shortfall when I seen all this other money coming from Qatar, when I seen all this other money coming from Biden, when I see all this other money coming in from decision making in Colombia. Don't tell me about no goddamn shortfall when you ain't really ever closed the city. When them bars it was hopping, Mint had lines down the block during the pandemic. Don't tell me about no shortfall. So yeah, your budget matters. Like, where's the money going, right? And then this last one here is specific to Bread and Roses. A grant from Bread and Roses is important for the organization to meet its revenue goals. So yeah, just like that's just specific to them. Like, will that grant actually help them meet certain financial goals? All right, I'm gonna go to the next slide. This again, I want y'all to think about this. Like, I felt like the criteria last night really was speaking to me. I'm like, yeah, this is the kind of some of the things that we need to kind of implement when we make our decisions around. Hey, who do we support? Like, what kind of work is legitimate? Because I might suggest that you just support, Reverend King. I know Reverend King got a whole situation, right? But I might suggest you support Reverend King versus the Low Country Food Bank. Not because the Low Country Food Bank is not good. I'm not coming at their neck per se, but I'm saying, like, I might suggest that to you. I'm like, oh, won't you hit up Cecil Williams and see what he need for his museum, or just what kind of books you can buy from him, right? There's ways to support really, really important work here. All right, so this is very Bread and Roses Giving Project, Ginger Justice Giving Project specific. But again, I really hope that y'all employ some really radical decision-making skills. All right, so basically, when the group is considering who is going to be eligible for this grant cycle, these are the bulleted points. These are the things they want to point out. Does it meet the basic criteria, the basic eligibility criteria? I think I have a slide with some of that on here. Is the group, are they using community organizing to achieve their goals? Are they led by, and it's kind of reiterating the things I just read, are they led by people most affected by the injustice or have a membership basis? Like, do they have a membership basis, right? Understand power. Does the group understand power and can talk about how they are trying to challenge power imbalances? Can't say that enough. Does the group that you want to support this holiday season, does the group understand power and can talk about how they are trying to challenge power imbalances within their organizations and in their communities, as well as between community members and policymakers, right? All right, our next one is, is the organization less likely to be funded by more traditional sources or funders? It says funders. Yo, if you know that Bella the Ball always gets a check, so like maybe they gonna be all right this time. You know what I mean? Maybe they gonna be all right. Maybe I just need to subscribe to like 8 months of Mic'd Up, because Mika's trying to launch, literally trying to launch a network and also work with other area journalists of color and from marginalized communities and work with that and create another network. That's I'm kind of spilling some tea, right? I'm literally recording podcasts that will be featured on. This is going to be a channel, y'all. This is what I'm working for. So if you don't like hearing Mika, you don't like frizzy hair and caffeine in the morning and F-bombs with your oatmeal, okay, we're going to have something else. We're going to have somebody do sports. We're going to have somebody do some other commentary. Like, that's the goal. That's the vision. So maybe, you know, I'm not getting funding. I talked to one venture capitalist. He was on some bullshit, right? I'm not getting funding like that. I'm replying, but I'm not always seen as like, oh, well, you know, are you a nonprofit? No, I'm not a motherfucking nonprofit. Nope, I'm not. Right. So like maybe, I'm using I'm being facetious, but I'm also being serious. Like, I'm not going to get the same support that like a Quentin Close-Ups would get. And I'm not having a conversation about Quentin Close-Ups quality. I'm trying to let you know that, like, and I don't know if he does get support or not, but he's largely accepted. I mean, you've had more than one congressperson on your platform. That means that you are trusted and accepted. I'm not really seen as that way. So why is that? Right? So question those things. I made it about me, but I'm trying not to. Sorry. Didn't mean to make it about me explicitly. All right. So, but are the organizations less likely to be funded by more traditional funders because their commitment to challenging power and prioritizing the leadership of marginalized people, all right, therefore, a grant from Bread and Roses in this instance would be critically important or critical to seeding or sustaining their work, right? Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. You talking to Reverend King? Find a list of families who need help during the holidays. Yeah, Evelyn, I'm gonna put a pin in that because I actually want to get to that. Because when I was talking about supporting maybe non-traditional organizations or non-traditional people leading important work, led by marginalized community, I want to put a pin in that. Joy, you dropped in the chat. Thank you for this. Translate into general considerations. Yeah, right. Thank you. I'm glad you found value. I'm glad this is valuable. Yeah. And let me just say, can I just say this? Hold on a second. I'm gonna switch up real quick. I don't know if this is something I am not insecure about, but I don't know if it's not like self-conscious, like, oh, I'm nervous and I don't want y'all to notice about me, or I know that there are times where I really hit my stride, and you might have met me at this point where I'm in like this flow state of, I got my ideas together, I got my message together, I'm speaking truth to power, I sound convincing, I sound confident, but then maybe if you kick it with me, I'm just being real, just indulge me for a minute, but when you kick it with me, you might not feel, I'm not afraid of, but I always feel like I let people down. They meet me in real life. And so like, the reason why I'm bringing this up is that, why am I bringing this up? It's the reason why I'm bringing this up. That it's when I tell you this is really hard work, this is why when you go out to lunch with me or you might come over here and kick it, I'm real jokey. I might send you just a real basic, like silly text or whatever. This shit is a lot. And so what I'm learning to do, is to make the message more accessible, make it more human, make it more realistic. Does that make sense? I don't know. I was going somewhere with it. I probably lost my train of thought a little bit, but there's something, my intuition's trying to tell me to say something. But I really do want y'all to really get this. I really want y'all to understand, like, this at a very basic human level. I brought up the other part is because I don't know if people get the message because of just like, I don't know. Anyway, I was saying something. It's in here, but it's not here. I'll get to it, but I just want to acknowledge that, like this, like what I'm saying, should be just really regular. Should be like broadly accepted, kind of pretty basic as fuck. I don't know how to say this. But yeah, I'm just trying to take what I learned and make it applicable. One of my favorite words to say. All right, anyway, I said a bunch of stuff. Anyway, word salad. All right, so here we go. So this is the gender justice aim and objective, right? So this group, 24 people or so, raising money among themselves. They're not hitting up the Ford Foundation. They're not going to Bank of America. They're not going to Wells Fargo. They are literally going around to their family members, their coworkers, community members, colleagues, people that they know. They're going to them or other organizations that they may be in community with and asking them, hey, would you consider supporting organizations like this one in Philly or organizations like that who are working toward gender justice? So the Gender Justice Organizing Fund is the name of the grant cycle, of the grant within the cycle. And it says that names that women, girls, trans, gender nonconforming, and LGBTQI plus people are targets of systemic oppression based on their gender identity and or gender expression. Gender justice exists when all people, especially women, girls, trans, gender nonconforming, and LGBTQI plus people, are able to identify and express their gender and sexuality orientation without fear of discrimination or harm, and have the economic, social, and political power and resources to create thriving, safe, and just communities, right? Right? All right, next one, let me see. There's another one. Okay, so the Gender Justice Organizing Fund makes grants to groups that do the following, right? And I think this is again gender justice, but it's not exclusive to gender justice causes. I think this is they're very universal themes here that I'm trying to impart. So groups that have a long-term vision for and engage strategies that focus on gender justice. So you can take out gender justice and put racial justice. You can put media accountability. You can put housing insecurity. You can put access to clean water. You feel what I'm saying? Have a long-term vision for and engage strategies that focus on gender justice, are led by people. It bears repeating, so I'm glad it's in here like 3 times. Led by people most affected by gender oppression, well, led by people that are affected by gender oppression. Right. Again, you could take out gender oppression, but if gender justice is your jam, this all fits to that too. All right, and build broad membership and leadership bases that can survive when the leader steps down. That is bars.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga.
I was trying. There is a part of me, like the part of like building out Charleston Activist Network to feature other voices, is almost moving in that vein. As much as I love coming to y'all have been like lifesavers. Literally, y'all have helped me keep my depression and my bipolar 2 at bay. I swear to God, this is an outlet. As much as I love doing this shit, it's a lot. And I want to be less relevant. Does that make sense? I want the activist network to do its thing. I want other voices to do their thing. And tell me if you find many leaders, and I'm not bragging on myself, but you don't find that type of quality in leaders typically. They want to reign supreme for as long as possible. They want the power. I don't want power. I tweeted this the other day. I don't want a following. I want community. And I really mean that sincerely. That wasn't me being sanctimonious. That was an honest ambition of mine. I want community. So if that means Nicole Trimmer Art gets a channel where you just watch her draw and it's calming and it's you know, it feels good. Like, I'm just saying, if I want to platform an artist, I want to do that. And I want, you know what I mean? Like, I want to I don't want to be the heavy. And that's how I also get to stay slippery too, because people be trying to pull me in and stuff like, oh no, I'm slippery. Nope, I ain't no leader. Yep, founder syndrome, right? Thank you. I appreciate you, Denise. And I appreciate you, D. Thank you, whoever subscribed. D, thank you. Thank you. Okay, anyway. Wouldn't it be cool though, like I watch on YouTube. I watch way too much YouTube than I should. Y'all have noticed by now. But like, I love watching artists who have like 2 cameras. So there's one camera facing them and the other one is when they're crafting or something. It shit just calms the shit out of me. And I would love to like like Evelyn, you make with your hands too. It'd be dope to just like have Evelyn like have this inner monologue. She's just talking it, and then like you see her like making something with her hands. I would love to do that and just put that shit on for like 2 hours. Calm down, Charleston. Charleston, calm down. Like calm down together. Let's calm down on Charleston Activist Network. All right. Prioritize ongoing education and consciousness raising for constituents and allies that broadens their membership base. Did I skip one? No. Understand power differences. Understand power differences based on identity. Understand power differences. This is the third one. Understand power differences based on identity and can talk about how they are trying to challenge those power imbalances both within their organizations, because that's important. How are y'all helping me to remain accountable here, right, in this space, and also more front facing as well. I think that's important. Like y'all need to demand that from other leaders and other organizations. Like, hey, how are y'all challenged? Like, are y'all getting y'all power imbalances straight, both within the organization and in the community? Prioritize ongoing education and consciousness raising for constituents and allies to that broadens the membership base. Have a plan, including short-term and long-term goals that are specific, achievable, and relevant to gender justice, or again, fill in the cause. And the last one on this slide is are knowledgeable. Is the organization knowledgeable about the other organizations working on the same issue? Because that's where some beef be at. Some beef be cooking. So are you knowledgeable of other organizations working on the same issues? Are you able to work in coalitions across movements? This is actually Achilles heel of mine, because I wasn't playing nice with others. I'll be real. I wasn't playing nice with others. Trauma would do that to you, though. Trauma would hurt people, hurt others. And I don't think I hurt people, but I know I was like unyielding and like, fuck y'all. Like, and I know that that's not something I'm proud of, but it's just, that's the Ben in me. That's the right Twix in me. Bob Ross. There's a whole Bob Ross channel on Twitch where they just put his Bob Ross stuff on a loop. Joy, I'm glad this is resonating with you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nicole, for getting on there and deleting the disruptors. Thank you. Moldy. What? Better. What? It was crazy. Thank you so much. All right. I'm glad this is resonating. But yeah, you know, knowledgeable about other organizations and working coalitions. And I've worked in coalition. The coalition work I was a part of actually encouraged me, like, okay, I can do this here. And then it just went south because like they don't fuck with me at all. So not everybody, but last but not least, number 6 should have been number 1 to me. So this is this is important. White supremacy culture takeaways, right? So as we're leading, as we're sharing this curriculum with the cohort, right? We also are helping them identify where white supremacy crops up. Right. And so even in their work to make decisions, so as they make decisions about who to fund, like who deserves funding or who's really eligible for this round. I got you in the chat. So as they're vetting and looking at applications, which are relatively like really low barrier applications, like both Cypress, the grant cycle we offered up, and this one, really like simple application processes, like really easy, low barrier. You didn't have to some people did put like 3 chapters of information. Some people didn't. Evelyn, you were privy to the applicants from our giving project cohort. For the most part, the way that people the applicants' submissions varied in terms of length and density. But we weren't looking for that. We weren't looking for you to write a whole fucking like encyclopedia on what you do. Some people did because they're used to they're used to traditional grant making, so they felt like they had to show up in that space. And sometimes it worked really well because you got a better understanding the more information. Sometimes more was more, sometimes more was good. More was like, a little less. All right, so white supremacy culture. So as they're vetting these applications, right? So they're actively thinking, they're actively begging us questions. What are we working against? We're working against the worship of the written word. This is authored by Tema. Tema Okun, y'all. She's very well known in I guess, dismantling white supremacy circles. I don't know how you call it. White woman. Her name's Spicy. I think she white, right, Evelyn? She white. Her name is a little spicy though, so it threw me off. But she was in my cohort, and I didn't know who I had in my cohort until I started doing more and more of the Giving Project stuff. I'm like, oh shit, every Giving Project in the country is using some of her work, and it's pretty dope and solid work. So she did, and I'm gonna take you to her website in a second. And she's well known and well respected, and she does this really. She made it plain for white folk. It's in the vein of white fragility, but not as corny. Because I don't fuck with white fragility at all. But it's something that I think white women would get, or non-black POC women would get. All right, so white supremacy culture takeaways. So as you're actively figuring out who to support, who to fund, who to throw your dollars at, right? And like, this is about a grant application, but it applies here. Are you like preoccupied with how professional they sound? Or how professional, like typo-free is their website? Like, that's the worship of the written word. Quantity over quality, right? So you're working against quantity. Like, you don't need someone who's out here looking busy. Again, activity versus achievement. I don't need you out here looking like you're doing a lot. I need to actually know if the box truck is actually filled with supplies and going to a community in need, Red Cross, or is the box truck empty and just riding around the Jersey coast, just for free marketing to look like you're doing something. So quantity over quality. You're working against that, right? When making these decisions, right? Having to perform oppression. So yeah, when I talk about the slave reenactment shit, the slave reenactment stuff, why do some people feel compelled? And no shade to the guy. I guess he's trying to do stuff, but I'll never expect black people, brown people, marginalized people, disabled anyone. I will never expect them to have to perform their oppression to get funding. It's very, very white. It's just very, very. It's a racist practice. Like, yo, dance, do that jig for me. That one where you talk like that slave, and you act like that slave. Yeah, do that. Oh, it moved me so much to see you act like a slave. Like, I'll never get that. But in a more, I guess, realistic, like the way you would encounter it, are people having to perform? Are you making people, requiring them to perform their oppression to get funding, right? And that's paternalistic as fuck. Deliverables, right? You're working against that. They don't have to prove shit to you. The organization might have been around 6 months, but you see them do something good on the east side. You see them do something good in Back to Green. Okay. You don't need, let me see your metrics. No. And remember too, some of these groups are not incorporated. They're not LLC. Well, of course, most of y'all don't get the LLCs, but they're not 501c anything. And some of them are trying to sidestep that step because they don't want to be surveilled by the government, right? Remember, we're reading, the revolution will not be funded, right? So there's all kinds of valid reasons why an organization might not be incorporated as a 501c anything. Right? And you are working against the right to comfort. The shit you encounter, the work you encounter, it doesn't have to make you feel comfortable. It doesn't have to comfort you. You don't have to feel comforted in the process of making these decisions, right? Right? All right. So what are we working for? Y'all can see this over here on the right. What are we working for? Going for groups, social connection, and leadership rooted in community. Content over the shape of the message, not perfection. That one hit me that hits me in the marrow, because I'm tired of people saying, well, she curses and she does all these sound effects and y'all get what I'm trying to do. Content over the shape of the message and not perfection. That's what you're working for. 7th generation thinking. Think about how the work of the org does and would impact people 7 generations from now. That's a bar. 7th generation thinking. Think about how the work. So the work being done by that gross group over there at George Floyd, man, I'm sorry to put them on blast, but it is what it is. Is that group doing work that's going to benefit 7 generations of black people who might be in that similar situation, poor, black, and living in public housing at an elderly rate? Is that work going to transform that community for 7 generations? That sounds lofty, but that's a goal, right? The next one says, you're working for organizations that have a long-term impact, follow through with people, they are servicing. Shout out to Seb. I want to say Seb is part of Friends of Gadsden Creek. From wherever Seb is on the map, Seb is always in contact and community with Back to Green residents. Always. Text message, emails, phone calls. Seb is telling me what's going on in Back to Green, and Seb ain't even in this area sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. And Seb has modeled that for me, and I've been more deliberate with trying to follow through and maintain a relationship. Does your organization or the people that you want to support, do they do that, right? On a real level. And then the last bullet point here, it says building a culture of appreciation and recognition. Y'all know I love, that's my go-to, that's my love language. I love giving y'all recognition. I think you can get a lot further with a lot more carrot and less stick. But building a culture of appreciation and recognition. So I think that's really important. Let me read the chat. Yeah. Because I wanted to read what Nicole put in the chat earlier. You says, I read most activists last 5 to 8 years doing activist work because the burnout is prevalent because of such hard work. Ask me how. I didn't run to this mic. I had to sit here. Cause I'm little like, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I really do hope that my experience helps the next Mika or Mike or whomever. I really do, because it will burn you out. The way that you feel compelled to either show up in spaces with limited resources, travel around the state on limited resources, create content, have interviews, start things, learn new skill sets, try to organize, try once, twice, 3 times to organize, fail miserably over and over again. It's very real. You get burnt out. Yeah. Activists do burn out, right? Prevalent because it's such hard work. It's very difficult mentally. It very much is. They said that things that would make them last longer is community and seeing small changes being made. Let me say that small changes part. So I had to start, even with Friends of Gadsden Creek, I said, I asked the group, I said, at various points in our work, we're going to have to redefine what we think success or winning is, because the work shifts. The work is so dynamic and it's so not static. And so you're going to have to redefine, okay, what a victory looks like. And sometimes the victory is, I took John to, there's times where a resident of Gadsden, Back to Green, would hit Seb up and say, hey, we need someone to take so-and-so to a doctor's appointment. His niece can't take him like she usually does. And, we show up, and that's a victory. That might be the win for the month. That we showed up for a resident in Back to Green and got them to and from the grocery store, got them to and from the doctor's office following a flooding event, right? That's victory for us. Small changes that really keep you going, incremental. Like, I know I don't like incrementalism from government and from powerful institutions, but sometimes when you do this work, you have to take the small victories and really celebrate. Case in point, not related but kind of related. I was transfixed on, I need more eyeballs on this live stream. I need 200 people watching concurrently. And I'm like, no, you got 100 views. And like my friend Cyrus said, like, imagine if 100 people came to your apartment right now to watch you do what you do. That's huge. So it's like, Mika, chill out. No, you're not Hassan, the nephew of a billionaire, media mogul. But you're doing good work, and these changes are small. Sometimes even when my viewership goes down, you know what goes up? Y'all's fucking support. Like, the eyeballs could be like 99 viewers, but then I look at but Nicole, she gave me those, I got those apple cider donuts, and Evelyn dropped off that dope handmade candle, and El Cool J made this really special card that I'm gonna have out, and Megsy did something really creative and really thoughtful. Like, that shit always goes up when it's just weird, and I had to start redefining what winning is. If I can be personal again. All right. Yeah. Let me see. Evelyn, you just dropped in the chat. Sustainable activism is hard, right? And that's something that needs to be more of a focus, right? And mutual aid and we're planning, like right now, we do like quarterly mutual aid events. Nicole, you were out at one and back to green. We're doing one again. We're getting ready to do one in the spring. It's hard, and they're fun though. They pay off, but it's hard work, especially in the pandemic. But and sustainable, and I'm not saying Evelyn, you're saying the opposite of what I'm about to say. Sustainable doesn't mean watered down, doesn't mean comfortable and convenient, right? I want y'all to also resist that. We're not talking about making this shit easier. Even doing the Giving Project, like last night, facilitating for about several hours, that takes a lot out of me, like mentally. Even though I'm in a very acceptable space, like a very warm space, thoughtful, caring space, it's still a lot. So sustainable doesn't mean comfort. Again, Evelyn's not saying this, but sustainable doesn't mean comfort. Sustainable means like, yo, is my blood pressure not going to spike? Every Wednesday or every Tuesday when I'm watching city council meetings, like, sustainable is like, is this causing me too much stress? Am I not able to show up for my friends and my family because this work is stressing me out, right? It's removing that other stuff, right? Yep. Recalibrating, constantly redefining. Yep. Thank you for saying that. I know there's a little lag, but I'm just trying to acknowledge the chat. Joy, you said something in the chat. You said it bothers me that this is the exception and not the norm. I know. This shit, and especially down here, because like when you look at places like Durham, is hella progressive. In the South, you look at some parts of Georgia, like not even just Atlanta proper, some parts of Georgia, very progressive. Like this type of focus is prevalent in certain pockets. We just have to popularize it, and also like it's okay to ask like how Honor models it. It's okay to ask about board construction. It's okay to ask some of these groups some of these questions, like, hey, how are you working to resist white supremacy? One question that I asked the Giving Project Network leaders, I'm like, hey, is it like, what's some other questions to ask, to have the cohort ask of the groups? And one question that I was going to add to the criteria that like Evelyn and the rest of the cohort would have asked, because I was fired before I was able to see the work be completed. But one thing I was going to ask was, they told me, say, hey, drop in there, hey, organization, what's your Black liberation analysis? And I was like, sometimes it's just that. It's having a question that will give you all the answers. Go to Turn-and-Leaf and like, Turn-and-Leaf, what's your Black liberation analysis? And that might sound like a gotcha, so maybe you can modify that. It's like, hey, how are you? How are the men or the women that enter your program? How are they becoming leaders? Like, what's their stories like outside of just staying out of prison and having a job, and learning a skill? Like, what other ways do you manage how effective you've been, right? And then you get a better understanding as to what the kind of work they do, right? All right, B-Man, you said just because. Hold on 1 second, I gotta clear my throat. Really clear my nose. B-Man, you said just because you're in an awesome space doing awesome work, that doesn't negate for real. That's part of the marketing too. Look at how Instagrammable we are. Just because you're in an awesome space doing awesome work, that doesn't negate that it still takes mental and physical energy. Right, that too. Yeah, it takes mental and physical energy. It's just more rewarding and less soul sucking. Yeah, it's still labor. Exactly that. Yeah. And if my story, I know I talk a lot about, I keep talking about how I got fired. That's just, for me, it feels good. It feels good to just kind of just keep saying that. I don't know why. I like telling y'all that I got fired because I never got fired before. But more importantly, like about what my time with Cypress really taught me was that the work is hard, and that you're either gonna be working alongside of or under people who have different visions for how to achieve this work. And even that, so even in a situation, let's talk about the early days of Cypress, that situation felt like it was the perfect situation for an activist. And it wasn't even before the bullshit drama started, it was all out of hard work. And so, like you said, it might be, I might have had a great salary, good benefits, all of that, but it still didn't negate the hard work and the labor that I had to expend. Shout out to y'all. I really appreciate y'all chiming in on this conversation, because I really do want y'all to divest from shitty philanthropy. And I'm working on being more precise in my call outs and being more precise in terms of what I think. Again, I don't feel like the onus is on me to create solutions. I think that's too much. Y'all been getting so much from a Black woman your whole life. Like, I don't think, you know what I mean? And we ain't getting paid to give y'all all the solutions, the labor and the solutions. But what I do hope y'all do is, for me, is learn better ways to divest from bullshit philanthrocapitalism, bullshit charities, and not look at charities. Look at people who are actually providing transformational change. And it could be an individual, it could be a business, it could be an unincorporated group, like it could be any of those things. I'm gonna stop shouting out one group because they really don't fuck with me, and it's one thing to like respectfully disagree, and another reason like to be out here wilding. So I ain't gonna say no groups no more. But I don't want to give y'all. I don't want to be the person that gives y'all groups. Like, I can't do that. I don't want to be a database. I think that also, like, I was trying to figure out why that pisses me off. So every once in a while, especially after somebody Black dies on film, and I'm not trying to be lighthearted about that. It's really like after something really gross happens to Black people nationally, right? After that, let me put this back up. After that happens, people hit me up and like, yo, what can you give me a list of organizations to support, yada yada yada. And I hated that, and I had to examine, like, Mika, why you hate that so much? Like, it's a kind of a plausible, like, quite, like, you get why people ask you, right? And I hate it because just like with REI and DEI, REI, race, equity, and inclusion training, diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Much like that, I feel like it turns the desire to want to do something positive. It turns it into a checklist item. It turns it into almost like a shopping list where you just go and you do this thing, you stroke this check, or you donate, from your iPhone, and you're not connected to the cause or the community. And I think that's what my intuition is trying to tell me. It's like, you don't like it because it seems super convenient. I'm not saying that I haven't done that on a Giving Tuesday. I'm not saying I haven't gone and donated to just like, hey, I see them over there. I don't really have time to get to know them, but I see them over there and I'm gonna just give them $25. We've all done that. We've all done that. Panhandlers included, right? I'm not solving the houseless crisis. I'm not solving the home insecurity crisis in Charleston, but maybe giving $5 to this person helps them, have a better day. I'm not solving it at the root, but it felt like I'm just doing something good. So I can identify with that. But what I really want people to start doing is stop trying to get a list of the right people to donate to, and start being more focused on being mindful and intentional about the support you give. And I would argue, like, find one or two causes, like, make this shit simple. I think my mom models that a lot. She loves the church. She gives to her church. She tithes regularly to her church. And she loves St. Jude's. She loves St. Jude's. Commercials work on her. So she gives to those things, and we put a limit on that, like, okay, St. Jude's and church. That's it. Don't, everything that come in the mail, I know it seems sad to save the dogs. But we good. Peter gonna be all right, Mom. Peter gonna be fine. But yeah, I think narrowing it down to like one or two things you're really passionate about. And the other thing, that Evelyn models, and putting her on blast, putting all your business on blast. Evelyn live at 2804 Oak Lane. Let me stop. Putting all Evelyn's business out there. But one thing that Evelyn does, and she don't promote this at all, is she's in community with activists, and she regularly gives of her time. That's a novel. Give what? Your time. Give what? Little mama coming to mutual aid? Give your time. Teach the kids how to paint some shit, some really dope art, right? Give your time. How about that? That ain't easy, right? That ain't writing a check. That's you having to prioritize and having to make that a priority to show up. Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to give them use of my van for this mutual aid event on Friday. I'm just going to be either I take things to and from, or unless I throw somebody the keys, like just whatever it is, like give of your time. We've got to get out of this thing that, you know, we only show up around Christmas, around a travesty, and we don't actually engage these groups in a more meaningful way, right? We don't sit with them. And that's what I think too, like that'll save you some fucking money. Like, how about you go and you learn more and you donate your time, right? And over an extended period of time too, not just if you've got capacity. Let me see what y'all saying. K-Bells, how you doing? Good morning. Damn. All right, Nicole, you said, yeah, realizing sometimes you're just going back up, way back. Okay, so Nicole, you wrote, realizing sometimes you're going to be able to go hard and sometimes you got to hang back. And not do so much. You can't be going 24/7. Longevity is the goal, right? And I say this, and I know it sounded weird, y'all. You're not y'all per se, Charleston. You're not gonna turn me into Jackie Robinson. You're not gonna put me in the grave at 55 with a full white head of hair at 55, blind from diabetes. You're not. That's how Jackie Robinson died. A lot of my favorite black women in history, Phyllis Wheatley, died. Can't even find her grave. Died penniless and sick, and all her kids died. Ida B. Wells, I believe, died not with the most money. You're not gonna do it to me. You're not, and I'm not saying I want to die a millionaire. I'm just saying you're not going. I'm not. Phyllis Wheatley, especially, she died at like an early age, I guess, even for that time. But I'm just not. I buried 2 siblings in their early 40s. I'm really trying to be here. I'm really trying to be here for my family, for my mother, but for me too. And this work will kill you. And I'm not being facetious. This work will kill you. If the cops don't, the work will. And that's white supremacy. Let me see. B-Man, Joy, you agree with B-Man earlier. K-Bell, since you just dropped in the chat, or I just saw you, you said, yes, it's the only balance. Yes, it's only to balance the status quo and throw some coins, right? At the wishing well from the cow. Ooh, what?
Now listen.
That's called motherfucking bars. You said yes, like about the whole like just stroking the check part. Yeah, just throwing some coins into the wishing well from a couch. Say word. For lack, if it better turn. No, you got it. You nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah, commercials work on the kiddos too, Brian. It is. Those mailers are really effective. Like the cleft, I'm not even making fun of the people who need surgery for the cleft lip, but my mom really has a soft spot for that charity, like charities that have that. And we just have to teach her how, like, which ones are like, hey, Ma, I don't know. You know, and some of it is like, if it make her feel good, if it's pretty harmless, it makes her feel good. St. Jude, all right, I'm sure I can find some bullshit with St. Jude. I'm sure 2020 or 60 Minutes piece probably is in the works or something. I don't know. But if it makes her feel good, and she's really passionate about it, I'm gonna let her do it. But we narrowing it down. Church, because that's directly in your community, and something else. And Evelyn, you dropped in the chat earlier. And honestly, just meet people in your area. Just meet people, right? Just that's it. Ooh, Evelyn, you about to segue us back to tiny houses and urban villages and social housing. Mm-hmm. Joy, you said you can identify as cash poor but comfortable enough, right? Yep. I don't have money, but yeah. And that's the other thing. Yeah, you might not be in a position to be like, your disposable income might not be great, especially y'all with families and shit. It's Charleston. Like, the disposable income is not always. I don't always have it. So like, I do try to find ways to show up. Maybe it's amplification. Maybe it's recording someone's podcast for free. Like, whatever it is. Yeah. You will get paid, Joy. You will. Yours is coming. I really do think abundance is like around the corner. K-Bells, you really warmed my heart yesterday just by how you move. And I feel like that, to me, that's the kind of energy we're talking about. Like, just showing people, sharing things, sharing information with people is important. Look at Verizon all right, Verizon, I'll pay my bill. All right. Yeah. Mama gonna mail that $5. Yes, she is. My mom also is a sucker for the mailing labels that come with her name on it. Oh my God. Trudy Gadsden. Like, she loves that. And it's like, whatever. Yeah. Joy, you just dropped in the chat to touch on what I said about earlier about people asking for lists. While you teach us and have great info, you are not a textbook. That part, for me, I consider what you say. Yeah, like, that's exactly how I want people to, like, I want people to sit with what I say and maybe go back to watch something or read y'all's comments. If you watch it on demand on Twitch, I want that, right? And I want less of, I've gotta get this right. I've gotta get this list, and this is the list, and this is it. Because that shit shifts. I could be on some fuck shit tomorrow. I could be up here doing some shit. Like, so you'd have to, like, divest from my shit. Like, not so much that people, like, turn around and disappoint you so much, or organizations disappoint you, but work shifts, priorities shift. Things just move rapidly, and I don't want you to look at me as this fixed entity. I want you to grow. That's why I share the metrics. They might look real modest to people, but that's the point of me sharing it. It's like, hey, we're trying to build this thing out. As it grows, I want you to be a part of this growth. I want you to be a part of this community, so you can say, I was there when there were 20 concurrent or 15 concurrent viewers. I want y'all to do that. Yeah, like, I'm not a textbook. I want you to engage on a different level with me. And you know what, Joy? Let me finish reading your comment. You says, for me, I consider what you say, insert my takeaways into my life, right? I don't expect you to do all. And Joy, if I may, y'all, at least 2 hours, looks like sometimes more, 2.5 hours, Monday through Friday. If some of that ain't enough, and y'all still, some of y'all need more, I really like, y'all spoiled. Y'all entitled. Not y'all per se, but you get the y'all, the hypothetical y'all. Yeah. You're reading pleasure activism along with me, B-Man, right? Down to try to figure out how to make this work in Charleston. Yeah, irresistible. Look at you. Ooh, I like that. Make this work irresistible. How do we gather with purpose and make much of it as fun as possible? I'm with it. Make sure it stays black and brown. Make sure it has some flavor, some seasoning. Me, K-Bells, Joni, Kia, we need to feel safe. It can't be kumbaya, kombucha, campground, crunchy. All them words that sound with C's and K's. Can't be kombucha, campground, commune, crunchy. It gotta be flavorful. Gotta be like, gotta have some Lowry's, some Goya adobo, some Sazon. It's gotta have some Obey. But yeah, I'm with it. Whatever it is. Nicole, my mama, you dropped in the chat. I have never in my life researched nonprofits or groups before you. Really? Now you want your money back, right? give me that money back. Red Cross. I'm joking. Now when groups come to me and donate art, I go see, who's on their board. Just look at it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it ain't gonna be perfect, but just, make an informed decision. It's like voting for Biden. I don't want to vote for this dude. He's not my choice, but I'm gonna do it. Sometimes it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Some people, and KBL, as you said, some people want to pull up to the fire and leave. Yeah. And that's the other part. Seriously, and this is why I think I'm shadow banned and not doing well on Instagram anymore. And I've plateaued at 10.4K followers, is because I have actively chosen not to dispense bad news on cue or feel compelled to contextualize the outcome of a bad verdict, i.e. Rittenhouse verdict. I did that, but I'm less interested in doing that because I want to train people how to treat me. And I think I do that in regular life. I'm doing better at it, right? Especially with y'all dudes, the dudes with a kink for social justice, loudmouths, like y'all got, that's gross. I'm really just starting to treat people. I'm just being real. Tom and Evelyn, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, dude, Like, what do you want from me? What do you want? This is really weird. This is weird. You trying to date me? Or you just trying to dig my brain? What are you doing? Like, but part of that, right, has been teaching people how to treat me, teaching people how to show up for me, expecting more from people. And so I'm changing what people expect from me. I'm only giving you what I have capacity for and what I want to give you. I'm not going to always give you my take on, you know, Jamal Sutherland on cue if something develops in the news cycle, because I don't want you to associate me with pain. I don't want you to associate me with just heat, invective, and venom. I want you to also see the full complexity of a Black woman in the South and what that could look like. Because I'm just one of a million Black women who don't fit a certain mold, but occupy a very important space. And so I'm trying to train people how to treat me better and how to expect something different from a Black woman outside of just loud, always in the streets. Like, I'm going to be loud, I'm going to be in the streets, but it's going to be a little different. And so that's why I think my account has gotten, and I'm not into aggregating memes. I'm not into doing all. I'm not into performing very rigid progressive values. I'm not into it at all. If I want to feature a tweet from Plies, I'll put up a tweet from Plies. If I want to feature a tweet from an academic from an Ivy League institution, then I'll do that. If I want to put Black shit up, if I want to put white shit up, if I want to put Latinx shit up, like, I'm trying to teach people, like, look, it is what it is, whatever I feel compelled. Yeah. Train people how to treat me. You got to, like, especially like them lurkers, like, it's just weird. It's weird. Some of it's entertaining, but some of it's just really weird. All right, so wait, what did Evelyn say earlier that made me think of something? Meet people in your area. You need community. That's what it was. Community. Okay, so I'm gonna act like that was an actual segue and just do what I want. So what I wanted to do yesterday, we talked about rethinking affordable housing, but seriously, that conversation did evolve into a conversation about rethinking community. And we saw these new terms, right? So again, the channel on YouTube, y'all, is called Never Too Small. Let me click on the channel. Please watch this channel. Until honor comes and tells us the truth behind it. I say that, I'm joking. But no, I don't know much about outside. I just been consuming it. Look at all these, like, look at all the red lines mean I watched it. Y'all, I've been watching these things all like through the pandemic. It's just a bunch of small, dope ass small structures, and not just Australia, but in Hong Kong and Brazil. And it's all these like tiny living things. And it was about community. Like, and then they started doing more commentary and content on, hey, we're building for happier lives. Like this one right here, designing for.
But as our cities continue to grow, they become more at risk of overcrowding, resulting in cities with ever-expanding boundaries, greater damage to our environment, and pushing out people who are disadvantaged.
Right.
By 2050, 7 in 10 of us will be living in these cities.
So like, so the content made me just talk about fostering community and giving and whatnot. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of loop it in there. But like, there was something I watched. It was about. No, they did Green Cities. We watched yesterday. We watched Rethinking Affordability. Oh, this right here. This is up Tom's alley. So this one was called, I watched most of it. We're not going to watch all of it here. But this video from Never Too Small, look at them with their merch. I need to get my merch under my channel. This one right here was called Building Urban Villages, right? A small footprint. And I thought this was really, I wanted to share it.
And it still remains in the top 10.
Hold on.
But for me, this sits at odds with the residential developments that put profit over people and.
Yeah, so let's just start from the tippy top.
From 2010 to 2017, Melbourne was one of the world's most livable cities.
Melbourne, Australia.
And it still remains in the top 10. But for me, this sits at odds with the residential developments that put profit over people and their happiness. Why are the rules and regulations that should be protecting the identity and inclusivity of our city instead putting them at risk?
this part right here.
One of the things you need to understand about cities is that developers have a primary goal, and that's to make money.
Yes.
There are a number of ways a developer can make money. Developers will buy the land, push up the value by increasing the amount of development they can do on the site. And then they'll do what I call a flip. They'll get their planning permit and they'll flip it over and sell it. So they've taken no risk, they've changed the system, and they've given it to someone else as a problem. The person who buys that will then come back and say, well, how do I make money? And it's usually by decreasing the quality of the development, getting a cheaper solution to the way you build, and therefore saving money. If you're very clear about what you're trying to achieve in a city, and you recognize that any developer wants to make money, you can usually get good development. There's almost an onus on governments to understand what they really want and put it as simply as possible, rather than the complexity of the planning scheme, which is so complex that people will find holes in it and find a way through it.
Right. And so what I liked about that, I don't want to get too deep in it because we did this yesterday, but really seriously, to Evelyn's point about community, and I think what I'm trying to encourage here is more so prioritizing community over just empty ass, bogus ass philanthropy, right? Put that down. I hope that doesn't mess up everything. But what I'm trying to do here is to emphasize community and not emphasize and de-emphasize just empty calorie work. Like just empty calorie philanthropy that really is just makes you feel good because you gave, or that seems very wholesome work. I'm always turned off. And Nicole, you saying you never research nonprofits. I mean, I didn't either till I moved down here and started doing it more, or doing it in general. But there's a lot of work that just makes people feel good with their pitch, and I'm turned off immediately by really neat, clean work, because if it's neat, clean, and wholesome, and it feels like something that everybody would buy into, it just sets off alarm bells. Because what I need most of these groups to do, which they're not either outfitted to do, or it's just not a priority for them. I need them. Let me go to another resource for y'all. I need them to actively dismantle white supremacy. So I mentioned Tima Okun earlier. So the website is whitesupremacyculture.info, whitesupremacyculture.info. You can go to that and you'll see the resources that slide deck references, some of the teachings, right? So Tima, again, white woman, Evelyn, you know her. Tima is renowned in the South for leading this work. She's a woman of immense privilege, and she's trying to forfeit her privilege in so many ways. And also she's aligned herself with a number of really important voices in North Carolina to actively work to dismantle white supremacy, but creating tools that help you identify that culture of white supremacy, right? This is coming home to who we really are. I guess that's a white perspective. Cause I'm like, we who? I'm joking. All right. So what is white supremacy culture? And so Tima breaks it down, and Tima did the artwork as well, the collages. And she shouts out some people that are in the pleasure activism book. That's one thing I liked about pleasure activism, is that people in the book that I actually know, which is super dope, or know their work. Right. So she's defining it here, brief historical context. As early settlers came to what would become the United States from Europe, those in leadership were male and Christian. They did not identify as white. They identified with their ethnic, national, and or religious roots. They were English, French, Dutch, and they were Protestant, Catholic, Puritan. They came with a desire to create a new world, in quotes, where they could profit and prosper. But once here, they faced a big problem. These ruling class elite and their families were outnumbered by indigenous people whose lives and land they were stealing, and the Africans who they forcibly kidnapped for enslavement and forced labor. All right, because the ruling class elite were outnumbered, they had to persuade newly arriving immigrants from Europe, right, to cast aside their ethnic, national, and or religious differences into a solidarity that could meet the challenge. And so they created a category of white. See, we know race is a construct, right? So they created a category of white and whiteness, all right? And consolidated the idea of white supremacy as a way to organize these very different immigrants into a singular unifying racial category. They did this by requiring them to disconnect from their ethnic and national identities in order to gain access to the material, emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual benefits of whiteness designed specifically and intentionally to pit themselves against and place them above indigenous enslaved peoples, right? So she breaks it down here. She cites a lot of dope black folk in this, right? So you can explore the website, y'all. And she does that. Let me see if that breakdown is like that. Here it is. So let me save this. This is basically so this is what Tim is known for, is these things, these pillars of white supremacy. I think I have a slide that points that out, but I don't trust me to find my slide in a timely fashion. So let me just pull it up here. Okay. So this is what Tim is most known for, right? The white supremacy culture, the characteristics. These are like the pillars of white supremacy, right? And let me see this graphic, if I can read it. It says culture is a way of life. Culture is a way of life of a group of people, right? But here, more importantly, are the things that uphold white supremacist culture. So when you're looking at organizations or like collectives or coalitions of support, you gotta ask, are they upholding some of these things in these jars of poison, right? Individualism, right? Quantity over quality. I'm gonna find the other graphic that actually breaks it down. Let me see if it's on his website. Power hoarding. Does the group hoard power? Objectivity, like everything being, objectivity is a sticky one. Fear of open conflict. That's a big one for Charleston. That's what had old boy at Urban Electric, had him shook on that fucking stool. He didn't want to talk to me. Or fear of open conflict. Defensiveness. Paternalism. Progress is bigger and more, right? Not actually substantive. A sense of urgency. Urgency is I've divested from urgency like a motherfucker. You gonna get this when you get it. Shit, for real, for real. Right to comfort. Perfectionism, right? All right. So let me see what y'all saying in the chat, because I'm about to dip. B-Man, you respond to K-Bells. Let me see. K-Bells capital has replaced community, and most of the intent is superficial. Most good deed charities are not about change, just white saviorism. Couldn't agree more. You went on to say, K-Bells, they want to be secret Santa, but not actually deconstruct what forces a family into poverty and work on that. Exactly, getting the cosign from the group. And then B-Man, you went on to say, it's wild to talk with folks who will agree that we have a problem with policing poverty in politics, and in the next sentence, make it clear that they have no interest in putting in the work to change. You think, wild. You think that's wild. Now be a black person, as they come to you like, well, that's a shame. Like Miss Millie, like, that's a shame. Miss Millie from Color Purple always comes to mind. Oh, that's sad. Oh, you blacks, that's sad. Come and be my maid. That'll fix it. Come work for me. I love to, like, whenever I identify a problem, people like say, hey, oh, Mika, you spoke so boldly on that. Won't you come and serve on this committee? I'm like, you want me to work on a committee with a bunch of hostile white people who don't get it? That don't sound like fun. That ain't the solution. What are you doing to like disrupt that committee? That's what I want to know. Right? K-Bell said they don't even want to be secret. They want the cookies. Like some of them want to be secret. Evelyn, to K-Bell's point, some of them do want to stay secret. Shout out to all the businesses that support me in my DMs but don't say shit in public. So some of them do want to stay secret. And support me in my DMs don't mean money either. I mean just a high five, and will never ever promote anything I say. Shout out to those groups who found that that groups that just put up content and infographics are the safe way to go. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all. But to K-Bell's point, some people, to K-Bell and Evelyn's point, some people want to stay in secret. Some of them want that public recognition. Like, look at me, daddy. Look at me. I'm doing good. I'm supporting the blacks. All right. Kind of like the way expect black people to end racism, not y'all. Exactly. Like, seriously, I'm sorry that event last week, a week ago today. Like, I'm telling you, if I wasn't in that room, if me and Fletcher wasn't in that room, well, we would have imagined what went on. But being in that room showed me very clearly how white people talk when they think no black people's in the room, no black people with power and influence in the room. How that shit went down and unchallenged shows me, like, white people are just really comfortable with the status quo. You might say some cute shit to me in private, but when it comes to actually disrupting the rooms, if left to your own devices, and I'm talking about white in the broader context, don't take this shit personal, or take it personal. You can take it personally. I invite you to that. You don't have a right to comfort. Yeah, like I could tell how y'all, like, that crystallized. I knew that scientifically, physiologically, socially, mentally, spiritually. I knew that, but I knew it. I'm like, oh, y'all get in the room, y'all on that fuck shit. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find her breakdown of those pillars of white supremacy outside of the infographic. Let me see, cause just go to the website. Yeah, go to the website. You'll kind of get the gist. But there should be something where there is a breakdown of here's what I haven't clicked on this in a minute. Racial equity principles. I invite you to peruse this. The racial equity principles are developed by Dismantling Racism Works, a collaborative after a decade of experience working with and for community-based leaders and organizations living into their racial justice commitment over years. See, I invite y'all to go check out. I was going to read the next sentence, but I didn't. Over our years of working together, I invite you to go to whitesupremacyculture.info and learn more about Timma's work, right? And also, like, the work, it doesn't center white folks, but I think this is a good tool for white people who really want to get down and dirty. Like, it's a good, like, 101. This is a good 101. Right. Oh, wait, this might be it. Yeah. Okay, so when you go to the website, this is the homepage. Let me make it smaller because I'm about to dip. So when you go to the website, whitesupremacyculture.info, you can click, scroll down here and click on this hyperlink, white supremacy culture. And this is what I used in my given project. So it lays out all those pillars of, like, the tenets of white supremacy: perfectionism, sense of urgency. Let me make it bigger. That's what they said. All right, sense of urgency. I'm gonna read some of these. Defensiveness. I want to go to right to comfort because that one I think y'all don't get. Where's right to comfort? Come on, power hoard. Oh wait, let's do this one because this is what Charleston is perpetually afflicted by right here. Fear of open conflict. People in power are afraid of expressed conflict, right? And remember, conflict can be generative, right? So people in power are afraid of expressed conflict and try to ignore it or run from it, right? The story of my life. All right, when someone raises an issue that causes discomfort, their response is to blame the person for raising the issue rather than look at what the issue which is causing the problem. Think about rebellion. Think about the rebellion that took place in the 60s where streets of Newark and Detroit were burning. You worried about the flames, but what caused the burning? People didn't just wake up and say, I want to burn down the store. What caused it? Current report, current commission. What caused it? Right? All right. Emphasis on being polite. This is Charleston in like with a bow on it, wrapped up tight. Emphasis on being polite at the surface, while often deeply offensive to those who have a beef with you or the organization. All right, let's go to the right to comfort. Let's see. Objectivity, right to comfort. This is a big one. All right. Make sure I can get the whole thing in there. Cool. Right to comfort. The belief that those in power have the right to emotional and psychological comfort. Another aspect of valuing logic over emotion, right? Yeah, people's rage is righteous, y'all. Some people's rage and emotion, especially from a black woman, I've learned that white people are really uncomfortable with me, or black women who look like me or who present like me. They're very uncomfortable with us being emotional, right? Like or us being human. It's really weird when they see like the help. And I always refer to myself as the help sometimes, not because I believe I'm the help, but that's how I'm looked at. Like, you're here to do this thing, and I don't expect you to show up as being sexual, being vibrant, being funny, being like any emotion, not even just anger, right? So yeah, let me read that again from the tippy top for Charleston. All right, the belief that those in power have the right to emotional and psychological comfort, right? Valuing logic over emotion. Scapegoating those who cause discomfort. Ooh, Timma. Scapegoating those who cause discomfort. Equating individual acts of unfairness against white people with systemic racism. This is what we're urging white women not to do when certain verdicts are handed down and stuff like that. Don't make this about you, all right? Because of your connection to the issue, right? Unfairness against white people with systemic racism, which daily targets people of color. And so she also gives antidotes, right? Because that's poison. So she gives antidotes, like understand that discomfort is at the root of all growth and learning. Understand that discomfort is at the root of all growth and learning, right? Welcome it as much as you can. Deepen your political analysis of racism and oppression so that you have a strong understanding of how your personal experience and feelings fit into a larger picture. I think that's very powerful and a powerful way to end. Yeah, I think that was dope. That was super dope. Shout out to Timma. But yeah, save some money, y'all. Save some money this holiday season. Stop giving this trash ass charities. Support change, radical transformational change that's rooted in Black liberation, that might be rooted in indigenous sovereignty, that might be rooted in reproductive justice or gender justice, right? Stop giving the shitty charities. Fuck a charity. And yes, there's always a need for emergency resources, i.e. food banks, food pantries. There'll always be a need for that type of help. But what does it look like to also give equal support, and it's not a Black org, but to like Low Country Street Grocery that's doing something a little bit different and dynamic. And I'm about to, no, I ain't gonna do that because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in real trouble. Who is this hit me up? I'm sorry. Like, people don't know what I do. All right, for a living. So no, like what does it look like to lift up a Low Country Street Grocery? No, they're not a nonprofit. I don't know if they did the brother sister model yet, but if they're still considering it. But like, what does it look like to actually try to get to the root of food deserts or food swamps or a food insecurity? What does it look like to support a group or an organization that actually actively works toward bridging that gap and also works toward getting people healthy with the RX prescription, like the food RX program that they have, where they're literally going to communities impacted by things like diabetes and blood pressure and obesity. And I know that can be tricky. All that can be tricky and, very fat phobic and whatnot. But get what I'm saying. The work that they do is say, hey, we want to help bridge the gap where you can have greater access to high quality produce, unprocessed foods, right? What does it look like to support that vision versus just giving a check to Low Country Food Bank, which is going to be all right. Like they going to be fine. I'm not saying defund them. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, what does it look like to consider Low Country Street Grocery over a food bank? Like, what does it look like sometimes to kind of have different value systems value system for how you judge or gauge the work being done by these local groups, right? All right, I think that's really important to do. So anyway, yeah. Yes, they do. LSG definitely donates grocery bags weekly. Yep. And you can directly sponsor a bag. They donate to this girl right here. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Lindsay, aka Jamie. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nicole. I really do hope it resonates. And if I got something wrong, hit me up in the chat. But yeah, go buy some groceries, stock a community fridge. And not shout out to there's very sweet people who do the loving, what is it? The loving box? What is it? The little birdhouses, little things with the cans in it. They're very sweet people. They took my feedback on the chin. So I appreciate that. They could have went a different direction. They could have did what Urban Electric Company did and just ignore me. They didn't, but I really do believe in climate control food. I really do. It's the climate control part. It's like, it's out here in the sun and the humidity and the heat. I just can't. I can't give you a boiled can of pork and beans. Like, I just can't let you eat that. Botulism abound. I'm sorry. But you can stack a community fridge. Sorry. Blessing box. What was I calling it? Loving box? Got your loving box. Let me stop. All right. Anyway, I'm being so inappropriate. Okay. Yeah. Giving Tuesday. Green Heart raised $12,000. Fresh Future Farm raised $5,000. Yup. That's the disparity right there. That's a disparity. And Green Heart, they reached out to me years ago. I almost took a job with them. But I'm like, I can't be the only black person. Y'all, it's not cool to be the only black person at anything. An event, a job, it's not. And don't come to me and ask me about, well, why do white? This happened to my friend. He told me this at lunch last week. He's like, there's a coworker that like asked questions. Let me make up a fake scenario so I don't like put old girl on blast. Like, well, why do they say defund the police? Like, I don't want to be the black person at your job answering these questions. I don't know, bitch. Google. That's what I would tell her. I don't know, bitch. Google. But yeah, the disparity is real, and groups and organizations that don't have access to funding or don't have regular access to funding are challenged. And I assume that I'm not in community with Fresh Future Farm or Jermaine. We're just not in community with one another. But I can imagine that, and she was a recipient of like some funding from Cyprus. I know my former boss was in community with Jermaine, I think to some degree. But yeah, there's a disparity there. And there's a disparity there. I'll leave it there. Let me stop smacking. All right, y'all. See you tomorrow. Might talk about history and archaeology tomorrow. Might talk about what I'm interviewing some people this week. Might talk about what we might kind of prep y'all for that. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I really hope you appreciate this. I really hope that you save some money by sidestepping and divesting from shitty philanthropy in Charleston. Go and support some radical work. Look, even if you get it wrong, like my dad tells me this all the time. It's like, because I always beat myself up when I do something good for somebody and it turns out to be bad, like turns out to be a bad situation. He was like, you move from a position, your heart was clean. That's what he said. Your heart was clean and clear. Your heart was pure in how you went about trying to support. So sometimes you're going to support organizations that had a really good professed values, but they really couldn't practice it. Don't beat yourself. You know what you did. You supported. You came from a position of like pure, just wanting to help. So you might get it wrong. I don't even want to use that language. You might, expend some energy and time and resources to some group that really just got off message. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's not about being perfect. It's about actually out here trying to bring about real change, right? That's what it's primarily about. It's like bringing about real change and supporting that. So just get used to that. Don't expect perfection. Don't expect immediate outcomes. Just decolonize the way you give this holiday season. Okay? All right. See y'all tomorrow. Thank you for everything. I love y'all. Thank you for the 8 months of subscriptions and all that other stuff and the bits. Thank you for the Patreon, 4 new patrons this month. Yay. Bye.